One day, Cole. Let's go, baby. I'm ready.
David Hans.
Allied passed a year 1 year
Gaming,
today.
And I'm the support player for the team.
Allied. It's complexity, right? Okay. All right.
God, he messed up so many times doing that one.
Yeah,
So
I can go
many.
around. I'm the squishiest target on the map, but I can also blow up anybody. So I'm pretty much glass cannon like Neo from Matrix. Like I just go in. Yeah.
This
remember
week
all
I'm
these
joined by
interviews.
guest caster Allied,
Hey.
David Hans.
David,
I think just the time of my in my life that really defines me would be generally traveling, going to tournaments. So back when I was a Super Smash Bros. Player, I would travel a lot, different states, all up and down the East Coast, and just hanging out, meeting the people I met, even
God,
just
I was a
playing
tiny
with people
boy.
I met, having all that friendships and really connecting with everyone, making something out of nothing. That's kind of like how I thought about it. Like, I have nothing, let's make it something. I really learned a lot from just traveling around. I really just made me the person I am today. And I think just my lifestyle in general, like I've always been a very helpful person. Like I always try to help people out. I always try to be as kind as possible. Like I'm not perfect by any means, but generally I always try to give a lending, helping hand. Being able to prove to myself that I could be the best at anything I put my mind to really helped me out as a player. And that was like big for me. You get to feel like you're part of something. You get to feel like you're a part of a community. That's what Smite is like for, right? You get to be a part of something that's bigger than you. It's cool.
Allied's looking for it.
This was his
Two
best
shots
one,
from this
actually.
guy. Third
This
one's
was
gonna
that
hit.
tournament.
He's trying for it. He's lower.
Allied with the
kill!
Senpai has done it again.
I feel like you're zooming into my nose here. Like that's like.
When people look back at your life, how do you want to be remembered?
Just as like, I guess that guy that like could do it, like kind of like, man, like I don't know how he went through like all of that and still like came out on top. Like, kind of like the odds were against him. I just wanted to be remembered as like nothing's like impossible, I guess. Like you could do anything if you really put your mind to. Like, especially for me, like I've had a lot of troubles. Like I have a lot of physical and mental troubles throughout my life, and being able to fight through all of that to be the best person I can be, in game and out of game, really, like that's what I want to be remembered as. I want people to be like, damn, he's cool. Like that's what I want to be.
He's cool. Damn, he's cool. Classic Allied.
Damn. He's cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Here we go, we lost Allied, and we still celebrate him to this day and thank everything that he ever brought to the scene with his entertainment value and just great play. And will always be remembered for that. So a little shout out to him, as always. And now it's time to get on with the patch notes. Got a lot of things to go through today. Could be a long-winded one. Let's find out.
Let's do it.
We'll start things off. A little quick breakdown for you all, what we've got to look forward to. We've got the new event coming up, which we'll be talking about momentarily on the desk. But we've also got item balance, god balance, skins, and of course, finally, the new god will be available for you all to see in person and PTS test, hopefully this weekend. But first up, the skins. We'll start off with one that we saw early on today. Tina gave this one away. Chompy Chibi Fenrir. Gonna be available for you all.
Look at the sock!
That's his puppet!
Oh,
I've not even seen the card. And there's a nice little look at him game too. We'll get more in detail later on, I am sure, but cute as deadly as ever. Next up is something you've all been complaining about for a while. It's the E-United Cucullin skin. Yes, the world champions on PC now have their skin available in game. And we'll have a nice look through that later on.
Why it
I heard it's got
long.
some interesting lines
they had to skin
in that
two
one. I'm looking forward to hearing that. Following that, it's Northern Ranger Hachiman. Looking
that's a Hachi skin.
Well, stealthy and sneaky.
Wow,
in the
how very
forest.
Uller of him. How?
Oh, obviously.
That's not confusing at all.
In the lane.
Wow, he looks just like Uller.
But certainly not least.
Okay.
It's a Loki skin. I'm lying! It's a Cabrakan skin! Fat Loki will be available.
That's amazing.
Not only will you have one Loki in the game, you can now have two on every team. Man Mountain himself, Fat Loki, will be available.
I thought the
in
last
next
skin
pack.
looked like
And
Uller,
we'll
as
look
it
at
turns
that
out.
a little bit later, Rob.
I
joining
was on
now
the right
on
path.
set
I was
is
on.
going to be Tina
I just
and
didn't know where it was
AJ.
leading.
Guys, how you doing?
Happy to be here.
What a
Happy
great
to be here.
skin.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
So,
good.
the
That's
first thing we've
amazing.
got to talk
That's
about
amazing.
is going to be, let me just double check, it's this new event, Divine Uprising.
Yes, we have a very exciting new event coming
Hey,
to Smite
Dax.
this summer.
What is it?
So, Ragnarok has happened, right?
Yes.
Season 5 began, Ragnarok event, Hell, and a lot of other gods doing some dangerous things, kind of messing up our whole universe here.
Sure.
So,
Kind of loud.
Hades
Kind of loud for you guys.
capitalized on
Turn it
that to
down a
become
little
all
bit.
powerful and
Let me know
rise
if it's a little bit better.
rise the underworld up. And now we're a little the world of Smite is kind of in peril. So we need a hero or a heroine in this case.
We need a
So
hero!
the Divine Uprising will be following the story of Bellona as we dive a lot deeper into this character. Really challenge her
Hey, Dax, Mike is,
and
like,
find out more
really
about who
loud.
she is, and she will be looking for new gods from new pantheons.
But
To
Hindu's so
lend their
much
strength to
quieter
help
than
her
he
become the
is.
hero to stop Ragnarok.
Sorry, I can't fix
New
it.
gods from new pantheons, you
Hindu's
say?
so much
Yes,
quieter.
that is what I say.
Yep.
Which pantheons?
And Tina's even quieter.
Well,
Gods.
the exciting thing about this event
Uh-huh.
is that it's going to be tied to the next upcoming gods.
Yo,
of
look at
Smite.
that thing in the background. What is that thing?
There will be 3
Look at that
major
big mother
parts to the event,
trucker.
3 chapters. There will be a Slavic chapter,
Not this god.
then a
the
Voodoo
way in the
chapter,
back.
and then a Polynesian chapter. Each
What?
chapter will release a new god. So first we have Chernabog,
We have
who
a
we've
Polynesian
revealed,
god
and we're going to be
coming?
showing his entire kit today. Then for the Voodoo chapter, we have Baron Semdi, who will be
Wait, what?
all of these
We're
information
getting
will be in the
Baron
game. You'll be able
Semdi?
to see it in the event UI. And then finally we'll have Pele, the Polynesian,
The soccer
no,
player?
the Polynesian goddess
The
of fire and
football player?
volcanoes.
Nice one.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
all
always
3 of
knew
those gods
Pele was a
revealed.
god.
We're
It
saying
wasn't
their
fair
names
that
today.
Brazil
You
had
won't,
him. You
see that
cheaters.
much more about them until future updates, but
What?
Chernabog full reveal today, and the pantheons and the names all shown for you today, and all will be part of the Divine Uprising event.
All right.
That's
then.
it. This is a story that's
Holy.
been written ahead of time about
All right,
what we're
then.
gonna be telling as time goes on.
It's being
Nice
it's
try.
being written ahead of time.
Okay.
And
Nice.
it's really exciting because the guy who actually if you guys
so quiet
like
now.
Warhammer and like to read about Warhammer fiction and it's Warhammer novels, the guy who's writing our lore right now, Ian St. Martin, is writing he writes like Warhammer 40k novels and
Awesome.
stuff.
So he's gone and we've hired him to actually write a novel for us, basically.
Well,
A
he's
story.
he's working on a novel that's
No,
very
yeah.
exciting, but he's writing a shorter story
it's a
for
short
us.
story for us.
So with each chapter, there will be a piece of story talking about Bellona's journey, and the Chernobog one that Ian wrote for us, the intro one, are all awesome. So they're really fun.
I'm kind
they're
of
not too long, but they're
confused
really
about
great
it,
little
but
deeper
cool.
dives into Bellona as
Right?
a character.
I think.
and it gives the event some just
Yeah,
so you can
and it
know
ties
what's
in
going on.
together the gods and the journey.
Okay.
So with this Divine Uprising,
Seems cool.
Tina, there's going to be, I believe,
Weird,
some
but
quests
cool.
that are going to come along
Yes.
with it in each time, right?
Yes. So with each
Can't wait for the messy patch.
section
gonna be crazy.
with each chapter, which is a pantheon. So for example, the Slavic pantheon chapter will have altogether 9 quests. So 3 updates for each pantheon. That means for each update there will be 3 quests, and if you complete all 3 quests, you will be granted 50 gems.
There we go.
Yeah. So
That's the exciting part.
yeah.
Yeah.
Every single player, whether you are purchasing or buying anything in the event or participating at all, every player will get these quests.
Yeah.
And they'll we're doing this in a little more streamlined fashion this time. You won't have to go to the event UI or start anything. You will just play the
Automatically.
game, just play Smite. Whether you participate in the event or not, you will get these quests and you
Yeah.
will get free gems.
Quick math.
And we're going to do that for all 3 chapters.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So that's just in quest, but there's also some new skins that are going to be coming around with this as well.
They seem to be
Specific
struggling
to
getting this
Right,
out, which
right.
is a little weird.
Yes. So if you complete every chapter,
Like,
so
almost like it's
if
really
you complete the
new or
Slavic
something.
chapter, you'll receive an exclusive Chernobog skin because he is the god that's coming out for this chapter.
Right.
Right.
So then you'll have for the Voodoo one, there'll be a Baron Samdi
That's cool.
exclusive
Is
skin.
that already a
Paling
crazy
Woojer.
skin coming out
If
for
you
the
collect
god that's
all
not
three
even
of
out
those,
yet?
you
Seriously?
will be able to
Dang.
get the
That's
Bologna.
cool.
Oh, there's a Bologna?
Yes, that is the big part of this event. Tier
Yes.
5 Bologna. So
What?
A
split into
tier
three.
5 skin? Wait.
Tier 5
Okay.
outside of the Odyssey. She'll transform
We have a
between
tier
her 3
5
different
skin that's
dragon
not part
armors
of the
based
Odyssey?
on which weapon she has. So as you're doing her abilities, you'll transform, and not as far as the level up. So that is this big deal. This is obviously something we've never done before. Tier 5 outside of the Odyssey, and a very new way of transforming in the tier 5.
Yes.
So, you know, we always trying to mix up
Okay.
our events. We want to do things new. We
Tier-
want to keep it fresh. We want
tier
to try new
5 out
structures
of
and new types
nowhere.
content. So we really wanted to go very different this summer.
Right.
Since we were doing
I
all the
don't
new
know, man.
gods, we
I don't even
wanted
know.
to tie the event into the gameplay.
Dang.
Really make it feel complete. So what you have here
don't
is
even
3
know.
chapters. You complete each chapter, you'll get the exclusive skin for the new god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So get everything
the
from the
quest, yeah.
Slavic chapter, you
Yep.
get the Chernabog skin, etc. for Baron. If you get all 3, then you get the tier 5 Bologna.
Yeah.
So get all
wait,
3
it's
by doing
free?
quests.
It's a free
and
tier 5?
unlocking through the whole system, and then you're like, okay, cool, get a tier 5 for free.
I wouldn't
Is that
say
how it works?
No, you have to purchase everything to get the tier 5.
Got you, right, and then you get the tier 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, okay.
It's not.
That
It's
makes some
not
sense.
free.
That
You
makes a lot
gotta
more sense
purchase
than
Yeah,
Sorry,
so it's going to
dude.
be so basically it's a
everything
whole
to
gonna
get
be
the
like
tier
over
5.
the
It's
season.
not
How long is
free.
this going to last? It's
There
going to be
we
a couple of
go.
months, I guess.
9 patches.
There we
Yeah, 9
go.
patches.
9 patches.
Or 9 updates.
3 Slavic.
Nice try,
3
Hindu.
Voodoo, 3 Polynesian.
Not free.
Question knows that you can buy skins in,
You gotta
and then
spend
it's-
all the
You'll see
gems.
it when you get to the UI. It's all nicely laid out.
get
It's
it.
a very consistent cadence to it all. So there'll be
Yeah.
a Divine Uprising update
Okay.
every update for the next 9 patches.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
sounds
and
real.
there's 2 new skins for each patch.
That's going to be great.
So, and if you go on the UI, you can actually like.
And this
see.
all starts when this patch comes out.
It all starts
Yeah.
in this patch.
That's
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic to see that. Well,
It's a
that's
really
it.
big event.
That's enough of that for now.
That is a
We're
big
going to
event.
head over, though, to Aggro and Pon, who are
Patch
starting
notes.
to do balance.
Yes. Okay. I'll move my little.
Thank you very
gaming-
much, guys. Welcome into the desk where we do the balance stuff. This is what I'm always most excited for, though.
I'm excited,
I
too.
need to go home and get the skins right
great
away.
to be
but
here with you,
I want to
Pon.
know what's
I'm
going
fine.
on in the game, and that's what
Ah,
we're
he's
here to
looking
do.
away.
Aggro
Never
joined
mind.
by Pon.
Never mind. This is
And Pon,
awkward.
let's start as we always do with some items. Now, what is the you got a general philosophy for us here among these changes?
Not so much something that ties
Alright.
a whole bunch of these changes together. We're really just looking at what's
Turn these guys up a
overperforming
little
right
bit.
now, taking that
Little
down a
bit.
notch, look at what's underperforming, bring it up to snuff. There's a few items that have really been kind of hard to really fit into a build, and so a
Okay.
lot of the changes are targeted towards making them better.
Yep.
And then a few that are just overperforming in what they do. and
Love
bringing
it.
them down.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Well, let's
Why
start
is their
right
camera
there. First one on our list
so
is
much
Evolved
lower
Warrior's
quality than
Blessing.
the
I saw a
other
bit of a
camera?
change coming
Do you guys
in
see that?
to Season 5 after the initial part of it.
Yes,
Got a
nerf,
buff,
Warrior's
now
Blessing.
a nerf. The
Stupid.
decreased protection is
Stupid
gained
starter
evolving this
item.
item from 15 down
Perfect.
to 10 for each. So now you're still getting the same amount of sustain. You still have that
Good.
great passive before it gets evolved, but now you're not quite as unkillable
Love
once
it.
it does get evolved.
Yeah, early into the season when things were really being shaken up, it caused there were a lot of experimentation, and so Warrior's Blessing was being underutilized, and players slowly realized how good that ability to trade was, the ability
because
to
it was
tank
trash,
minion
and then they
damage,
buffed it like
and
4
started getting more and more
times.
picked up.
It
We made a
was-
change to help
so-
make sure that it was a very strong warrior item for people to pick in the soul lane, but a little bit too hard in that direction, and after seeing it play out for the rest of the season, or the first part of the split, we're bringing down some of the buffs we gave it that patch to make sure it's a bit more in line. If you want to flex into other starter choices to be like maybe really more aggressive with like Mage's Blessing, we're going to let you do that more often, but we want to make sure
I like
Warrior's
it.
in a good spot. It became in a very good spot.
Warrior's
Coming down.
Blessing was
Makes sense.
so
All
bad.
right, next
then
up on the list,
I
we've got
just kept
Oni
buffing it.
Hunter's Garb. Now, this is an exciting one. It got a change
okay.
coming into Season
Yes.
5, but now we're just kind of making it a little bit more user-friendly. The current passive, you have to be around 3 enemies to make it work. Now you've got a chance you'll get incremental buffs as you're surrounded by more and more enemies. At the end of the day, if you're surrounded by 3 enemies, you get 6% damage mitigation.
Yes.
Just, you get it. And this is only 1,900 gold, Pon.
Yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, this was one of those items that has a really cool passive effect, but it was so situational to trigger that it was hard to actually utilize well. There were a lot of situations you'd pick it up and then you'd get immediately into a few fights where this
6%
just was
damage
not happening to
mitigation?
you.
Do we
So
care
now you
about
get a
that?
weaker effect when you're against one person, a slightly stronger effect when you're against 2, and then the full effect when you're against 3 targets. So that when you
do we
pick
really
it up,
care
no matter
about
what situation you're in,
6%?
it's still good for diving. You still want to use it in
I mean,
those
maybe
teamfight
I'm doing the
scenarios if
math
you're like
wrong in my
character that
head,
really
but
wants to get
that
in the middle and
feels
shake things
not
up. But
good.
in those one-on-one scenarios, it is a completely dead passive.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit more of that Oni Hunters coming to a solo lane or Guardian near you. Next up, a Soul Reaver nerf. actually made a couple adjustments to this item a couple patches ago. Now we're taking one of those away, increase the cost from 2650 up to 2750.
That's a good change. They
Just finding this item be optimal in the third item slot felt a little bit too oppressive to other roles.
That's good.
Yeah, so we buffed it in a way to make it so that mages could pick this up and feel like they got the burst situation. A lot of people
they're keeping the power, which they needed to, and they're increasing the gold cost, which they should. They should.
And that was enough to remind people, hey, Soul Reaver's pretty good. So we're
Pretty
bringing the cost
good.
back up. The powerful, it has a very powerful effect. It gives a lot of magical power. Especially as mages have kind of shaken out with the Ratatouille change that happened at the beginning of the season. People are really
as a mid player,
what mages kind of do and what the power curve is.
Too much.
It was just
too much.
Too cost efficient for what it gave.
Exactly. So Soul Reaver, I think, is still going to be a core item in a lot of mage builds, just maybe a little bit later on down the line instead of in that third item slot. Next up is another mage item, but one that we don't see purchased that often, but also great against mages. It's Stone of Fall, getting a buff in the cost. That goes down from 2,500 to 2,300. But I want to get right to the meat and potatoes here. New passive. Anytime you would be dealt more than 20% of your maximum health by a single magical damage source, that damage is instead reduced by 10%. Basically, if you're taking more than 20%, you get 10% off of that. But the exciting thing here is this effect has no cooldown. So against a god like, say, Hebo, who's hitting you for more than 20% with 3 different abilities, you're taking quite a bit off that.
Yeah, so the big change here is that it was a very restrictive effect. It could only happen under a certain circumstance once, basically, for the entire team fight. And even then, often it could very well not trigger, and you wouldn't even get much out of it. And it had a high cost. So while it was a very powerful counter item, the restrictions it had on it were too much to make it a usable
only takes 10%
so now that we've changed it so that the passive has no cooldown, so off of an ability that does more than 20%. As well as we've made it so that it's more of a
so if you take 1,000 damage from an ability, instead you take 900.
You can pick this up for a cheaper cost, which has good stats on it as well, just to protect yourself from burst mages specifically.
Yep, you got that.
It's okay.
The lower cost really helps you fit into a build, and the new passive structure makes it so that when you pick this up, you can rely a bit more that this passive is actually going to be helping you over the course of a fight.
So it's not quite as strong against the big burst ultimates like the Thoth ult or the Habwa ult, but against those that are going to be consistently pinging you for 25% of your health, 30% of your health, this is going to be a lot better. So again, I think an item that was kind of under-purchased specifically against those big burst gods. Could see some more of it
now
there.
It's not
That's
really
already does
good
it for item balance. Pretty short.
Big
on that, we got
like
a little graphic.
Now it's more
somehow
useful
missed
against like,
the
wow, that's
item
it.
balance section.
It's more useful against like
this
Hebo's
is weird,
spam
okay?
warning,
That
like,
buff item that's against mages. We buffed that, and then we nerfed Soul Reaver. That's for mages, and then Soul of Fall's kind of against mages as well. What's going on here?
No,
we have a bunch of mage players working at high res. What's the point
if we
don't get our class buffed? Pon.
We had the minor revolts of the anti-mage.
Got to get back to work.
It doesn't reduce it.
I just expect with that many mage changes that Zeus is going to be getting a massive buff later on here.
It's really not
have to wait and see for that. Well, no?
No.
Oh, I may as well just leave.
We'll
start it off with you. If you're taking something from me, I'm going to take something from you. Achilles.
Nerf. Yeah.
Chat, it's going to be okay. You're going to make it through. Achilles, Shield of Achilles, decreased the damage in the outer cone, scaling from 80% down to 70%.
Love it.
And then the combat dodge, you decrease the damage here by 10 at all ranks. So this is a fairly substantial, in the grand scheme of things, it may not seem like each of these nerfs is a whole lot, but I think together, especially when you consider that combat dodge, you're ideally hitting it twice, so it's a double nerf there. I think this is really going to bring his damage numbers down pretty considerably.
Yeah, so I think the big focus here is
that wasn't as cool as I thought it would be.
Game. He's a character that really excels on getting early pressure out, especially with his unarmored.
I got a little bit more hyped.
Get in there, really mix it up, and he can come out on top.
But at least it's something.
But his late game, his mid and late game, he starts falling off, especially if he hasn't gotten that early lead. So any adjustment to his early game is going to bring him down pretty significantly in terms of his overall power through the course of the game. The reduced wave clear that he gets from the Shield of Achilles, that spread damage that he gets on the back minions, especially if someone's playing back in the back line, them taking less damage is going to be pretty significant to lower his kill potential because he really wants to get them in execute range.
Right.
As well as the double damage from the dash early on. It was, I believe, 130 damage. That going to 110.
Yes.
We tried to poke that on the minion wave as well as the opponent god. That's just a lot of damage off from his wave clear, a lot of damage from his clear.
At least they did something. I appreciate them realizing he's a problem.
He's still going to be very strong. He can still definitely rush you with high movement speed and power. His basic attacks are very good at chunking, but the overall reduction
he'll still be super strong.
More, readily available to counter. Lower his clear so that you're more likely to have minions there with you fighting him. and overall should even out his curve, so he's not so good in the early
It's,
game.
yes, it's like the bunch of small nerfs they keep doing the Woojer.
Exactly. Mid-late game
Very
he starts
similar.
being a little bit less effective.
All right, there you have it, chat. Achilles nerf. Do we have to do anything else? Everyone should be happy now, right? That's it.
We still got some more.
We still got a lot more. That's only A, chat.
That's
Don't
A.
get baited by me. We actually have another A god right here, Aphrodite, getting a change. It's really just a buff, actually, not really a change. Decrease the cooldown on Kiss if you hit an ally. Right now it's 3 seconds. This is going down to 1 second. So you're going to be able to switch targets very often. And I'm going to get ahead of the chat here, Pon. Why don't we just do any of the thousands of targeter suggestions that Reddit throws at us all the time, huh?
So the big thing is the targeters, right? We've talked about this a lot, and the idea is, well, what if you do a Sun Wukong targeter? You always have control over where you're going to be aiming your thing, but that causes where situations where you try and flick cast something, you could miscast it really quickly. We tried other things like where if you could pass through stun and go to your ally always, so you could always get the stun and link, but that makes it a now pass through stun that is very powerful. Maybe lock-on works. Well, now it has to be a lock-on stun because you can have a lock-on and a line targeter work in that functionality. And so after reviewing all the options, user case scenarios, making sure it felt fluid on any control scheme that you're using.
Okay. We're getting really technical.
Just this ability to link immediately to the target you want to go to, and then have a very low cooldown so that if maybe you did want to stun someone off, you can link to your ally, do the knockback, and then get ready to immediately stun that target. Making it so that you never feel bad about linking to a target because your cooldown will be so low anyways afterwards. You'll be able to use it how you want it to.
Right.
That's cool.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Specifically with that Sun Wukong style targeter with the 72 transformations, I think the weird playability of trying to hit someone far away but having to aim up close to yourself, I agree that just doesn't quite mesh with how it should feel. And I think this change is going to make it feel phenomenal. You're going to be kissing, healing, then you kiss your next teammate, hit the 2, this one needs the ult. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It also just, it's not even the situation where you want to kiss an ally and then kiss an enemy to CC them, right? Like, you can choose, okay, this person needs a knockback, this person needs a heal.
It's certainly a buff for Afro,
between them
undoubtedly.
Really dynamically, and that's going to allow really good Aphrodite players to really use this well.
Yeah, I'm excited, but maybe not, because playing against Afro makes me a little bit sad sometimes. That's just like she's good against Zeus. Anyways, Guan Yu is next up on the list. I'm always on the Zeus thing, Pon. It never stops. This isn't a bit. I'm obsessed with Zeus. We'll move on. Guan Yu is next up on the list. A big change here, a couple of them. First one, his basic attack chain is getting a lot of different changes. Now, the third hit of this chain is going to apply a cleave, a la Nike or Osiris that have those as a part of it. And then the last hit of his hit chain, the range has been increased from 12 to 16. So this is going to help his auto attack clear, but his auto chain already does a ton of damage.
Yeah, so this is a few things. One, it just
auto attack Guan.
He has this like swoop and then a big slash and then an overhead reach.
Right.
And it always felt kind of weird that big swoop didn't have a cleave when a lot of the characters that had that kind of animation had that cleave. And that long reach didn't have the longer range, even though it looks like it could hit that far. So we've increased the range of that
actually
blast
using
hit, so that
his
matches
spear.
more animation, although that does mean that there's a few outer areas that can be hit because it's a cone. But it does more match the ranged reach that it has, as well as the cleave is going to really help him both in, if you want to play him in the jungle role, you can actually now use that to clear in the jungle because that's what I'm always on.
Do you think DJ Pernicus is watching?
Yeah,
right now?
He's
right
probably
now.
really happy about this.
Get ready. Cleave auto attacks. Guan Yu jungle coming to a place near you because also he gets a passive change.
The other thing,
yeah, go ahead.
Whoa.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Yeah, the passive is really exciting though. The big thing here is though in the solo lane, right? If you're using Combo Assault, your wave clear is very good. If that ever gets interrupted for any reason, you can have a problematic time actually clearing the wave. Now you can actually be aggressive with that, group up the minions, and use that third cleave to really help augment the clear so you don't fall behind other characters that can really interrupt you. So this both helps him kind of make more sense with his basic attack chain, but also helps him perform significantly better in the solo lane or even in the jungle if that's what you want to do.
Support as well, I think we could see some more of because this passive change is nutty.
Okay.
Get ready. Now, before you use an ability once your passive got stacked up and it would consume all the stacks, no longer. That's a relic of the past. Now, whenever whenever your passive is stacked, it's staying stacked as long as you stay in combat. That means the super boosted heals, the super slow, the super prot shred, the ult. You can use all of those in quick succession and keep it going throughout the combat. Guan Yu wants to stay in combat as long as possible anyways. I think this is going to be a massive change for
That's
this.
a crazy change.
You can actually really focus on the bonus effects before you'd often trigger it and then be like, well, I only have my heal up or I only have my dash up. And it'd feel really bad for me to hold on to this, trying to get the posture that's going to be up in 6 seconds.
So you can get all of those effects now in your fight going on? That's a huge deal.
To use my cooldowns really often.
Huge!
So for a character that wants to be in the fight, constantly healing, constantly dashing through to lower his cooldowns, this really just makes more sense for him. When he's in the thick of a fight, he can keep doing doing the cool things.
Yeah, he's going to be doing a lot of cool things.
Guan is
I'm
just
sure
going to
that Guan Yu
bop
is going to be
now.
it's going to be fun. No doubt about it, at least.
You're going to have to kill Guan
Next up is going to be
fast.
Kepri. He's receiving a bit of a buff as well.
I thought they were
going to
nerf him again.
Play. In fact, 0 pro level play through the spring
Really?
split so far. So we're increasing the root duration, adding an extra 0.2 seconds at all ranks, as well as increasing the damage. Starts at 10 more damage at rank 1, up to 30 extra damage, ending at 280 at max rank. This is just kind of covering one of Kepri's weaknesses. He has bad initiation. This will help him out a little bit in that area.
Yeah, the longer root really help him get close to actually grab on with the 1. It'll also help make sure that like if he's trying to
when do they
recruit
buff
the whole enemy
Kepri?
team, because there's a few people out, that's more time for his team to engage on there. And the base damage increase, while it's pretty minor, it's not like an above 300 base damage ability. Just that bonus damage that he contributes to a team fight can be the difference between someone actually dying versus not dying in a late game.
Can't believe they buffed him instead of nerfing him.
It matches more
First
with other
time for
Guardian
everything,
kind of
I
base
guess.
abilities that they have. So the root combined with that
Must
base
be some
damage
new
is gonna help
employees
him
over there at high
really
res that don't know the
solidify himself
shit.
as a strong engager, a strong poker that can actually throw out that root if he really needs to, and be effective with it.
Perfect. Next up, another Guardian on the list, another K Guardian. It's Kuzenbo. Everyone getting a shift, it says here, but this looks like a pretty good buff to me. The Water Bowl, his passive, increasing the per stack damage mitigation from 1% to 1.5%. So overall, this means that you can go from your maximum damage mitigation from 10% up to 15%,
Pretty good.
which is high.
Yeah, and if you're playing against him and you want to get rid of that mitigation, you actually have to play into the passive. You really can't just kind of ignore it.
Exactly. You have to play around
deal.
it a little bit more than a lot of players are currently doing. And then Shell Spikes.
That's a big
We're decreasing this damage, so you're going to not kill yourself quite as
often
on those Shell Spikes, down 10% at every
Thank
single
the
rank.
Lord.
But then we've also decreased the mana cost. Now it'll just be 50 at all ranks. And here's the big one.
This is
now, whenever you hit a Kuzenbo with Shell Spikes, you may not kill yourself from the damage itself, but you're resetting the cooldown of his Sumo Slam. Right now, it only decreases cooldown off the 1. Now it'll be the 1 and the 3.
Yes.
So he's going to be moving you around, tossing out little turtles all over the place.
Yeah, so I think the big overarching goal for these changes
nightmare.
were he was really frustrating to fight against because of that shell spikes, but and also he didn't really contribute much to the team fight outside that shell spikes.
That's
so he was frustrating to fight
annoying.
against, but he also just didn't contribute enough. So the damage mitigation is going to help him actually stay engaged in the fight. It means that he can actually get in there and use his reflect and not die immediately.
Cool down, Kuzenbo! Coming at you hot!
Shell spikes.
That's
He's
a
going to be doing
big
it
buff.
all over again if you keep hitting him. So he wants to be in the middle. He wants to be all these changes help him get in that goal. And then if he plays well, he gets to Super Slam another person or Super Slam another person and keep going through the fight as long as he can keep
and Kuzenbo's like, and another one, and another one,
Nemesis
and another
is
one.
up next. No, Kuzenbo is a lot of fun to play. I kid.
You better nerf her again. Don't you dare buff her.
Eventually. Soon enough.
Don't you dare buff
Soon
her.
enough, chat. Nemesis up
Don't
next.
you dare.
Receiving a nerf. This one is going to be on Slice and Dice. We're
thank
decreasing
you.
the damage at 10 at all ranks. But it may not
Stay
look like much. You're not
blessed.
getting hit for 160 at max rank. Remember that middle cone of Slice and Dice doubles her damage. So this is
Stay
actually
blessed.
more impactful than it looks like at first.
Yeah, so this is
Oh,
a
my
change that we made a
goodness.
while back to her where we increased the slice and dice damage. Back then, she was struggling to be anything more than a character that just brought an ultimate to a fight.
Yes.
So we upped her clear, we upped her scaling so that she'd be more of an assassin when she built offensive. And that worked really well during the time, but then we went to Season 5 where jungle clear rates matter a lot more, and the burst became a lot more important. People were dying a lot quicker. And so that base damage that we gave her and the scaling we gave her really let her shine. And she became a very, very contested pick. We've done a few things like adjust the ultimate to bring it more into line with other things. We've done some item targeted changes. And we wanted to see how all that shook out because she's a character that is traditionally really sensitive to balance.
Yes.
And so now that we've let all
Thank
those
the
changes kind of
Lord.
subside,
You
she's
hate
still
this
pretty
bias
good.
here, dude.
Turns out.
Yeah, and so
Everybody
base damage is
does.
coming
Unless
down.
you
Just
like a
means that
main
the burst potential
nemesis.
she has early on is
She's
gonna
one
be
of those
lower.
gods where you
The
get
clear
hit by
rate
her
she has is
ulti
gonna be
and you're
lower.
like,
She'll have to
thank
spend
the
more time jungle
God
than
she had to
camps.
aim
So her
it.
ability to like really clear something and aggress a lane really early is going to be limited. So she's going to have to focus more on making sure her ults are really good, her engages are really good, and finding really the right opportunity to get to the backline, lest the person gets away and doesn't die and then she dies.
All right, there you go.
I'm
That's
nervous for
Nemesis
the
you
Loki
guys.
buff
Next up,
today.
another nerf that I think a lot of people were probably expecting. Terra up next on the list. Revert. This first one is a revert, though. It used to be the monolith was at 3, then we upped it to 5 when we removed the root. Well, the root came back. It stayed at 5 hits to destroy the monolith, so now we're bringing that back in line.
Yes.
3 hits to destroy the monolith, just as it was last time.
Make sure that you have a counterplay option against her, right? Like, she can't just throw that up and then right now, it's if you decide to actually attack it, she just dashes in, and she has plenty of time to make that decision.
Right.
Now, if you choose to focus it down, she really needs to decide if she's getting out of there or dashing through it.
Perfect. All right. Then Earth and Fury, getting a little bit of a nerf here. Decrease the damage mitigation from 10% to 5%, and the damage amplification for your team from 10% to 5%. This was a 20% swing. You guys were doing 20% more. They were doing 20% less. Now it's down to 10%, cutting that in half.
So the ultimate redesign really helped
her
actually
bit
feel like she had a
better,
good identity in the middle of a team fight. She can
still,
pop this thing, and it's very clear what everyone needs to do now.
Part of me feels like,
with this global power, and this power now it's very clear. But it also is very strong. A 20% swing, like you said, is really good, combined with the heal and the damage. So we're looking at that specifically, and the big thing is we're toning down that damage mitigation, because while you can somewhat play around the heal and you can somewhat play around the damage being applied to yourself, that percent damage mitigation is going to apply no matter what you're doing.
Right.
And so when it's 20%, that's really extreme. It basically means that like you really can't fight into that. Whereas if you're playing smart and avoiding and playing around these stone procs, the damage and the heal, you should have a reasonable chance of actually coming out on top, even if she pops the ultimate. So this will really help players actually more contest Terra after she ults.
Perfect. Excited to see that. Next up is Thor. This
still
one
banning her
pretty
100%
exciting as well.
of games.
Getting a buff to Mjolnir's attunement. That's the,
She's still
the hammer
way too
toss.
strong.
Increase the amount of damage that the return hammer deals to minions.
Really?
From 50%
Oh!
to 80%.
Oh my
so
goodness,
he's been having
that's a
trouble
buff.
in the early game clearing out minion camps.
That's huge.
And it's in large part because the 1 doesn't do a lot of damage and the 3 doesn't do enough to clear it. And you're losing the opportunity to auto-attack a lot of these camps down. This will allow him to pick this up early on and be able to clear camps a bit better.
That'll help him
so he made a
clear
change to
so
Berserker
much
Barrage
better.
early on to help him with his clear. We reduced the cooldown so you can use it, and that helped him somewhat.
That's a big deal for his clear.
Berserker Barrage is kind of this weird thing where you're channeling it and you're doing a good amount of damage, but you're also not basic attacking.
Somewhere in the world,
really
Andy's like
much DPS you're
slipping
out onto the
high-res employees $100 bills.
And scales really well. You don't have that much
for doing it right before the layout.
25%. You don't have enough power items to really make that worthwhile. And so in a lot of
Remember,
cases,
SSG's got everything covered, dude.
Out in the camp.
Yep.
Because
we've got feelers everywhere. You can't stop us.
Almost certainly better. I believe it actually makes it so you have to one-hit these side ones, which puts it very much in line with Berserker's Barrage clear rate. So you're definitely going to want to level this up, and it just makes it very clear what he's supposed to be doing. It lets him level up his gank tool as well. This should help him overall perform more reliably in the jungle, and opens up a few options, maybe a solo lane, maybe a support role. We've seen support Thor every so often, but this is really targeted towards that jungle playstyle.
I love
and
it.
I know it feels kind of crazy, right? Like we're actually going to buff Thor. I mean, that was my first reaction upon reading it, but you brought up a good point. When was the last time Thor was actually the best jungler in a meta? It's been a long time.
He started seeing some play, but it took like 2 seasons to get there, and it's still not like he's not really clearly the best character. He's a flex pick. He's picked every so often.
And he's a comfort pick for so many good junglers that everyone just feels like he's still one of the best, but statistically and in just actual practice, it has felt like Thor has fallen off in comparison to some
I'm
other
okay with that
assassins.
change. I'm
seems
okay
scary.
with that change.
Give it a try. Chat, trust me.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Vamana next up, getting a bunch of mana cost reductions. I'm just going to go down the list, and then I'll let you talk about them all at once. Clear the Path, going from 70 to 90, now 70 at all ranks. That's the dash. Armored Umbrella, that's going from 60 to 100, down to 60 to 80, so losing 20 mana at max rank. That's the 2. And then Umbrella rank, that's the 3, getting 20 mana off at max rank as well. So Vamana is getting a little bit more user-friendly in that you can actually play him and not just have to go back to base all the time.
Yeah, you walk into lane, you're like, oh cool, I'm gonna poke with Umbrella Ring, I'm gonna cone real quick, maybe I'll dash once or twice, and oh, I need to go back to base because I am actually out of mana.
Not bad.
It basically meant that he really had to choose between either just clearing the wave or just poking the enemy god. And in our kind of meta right now, it's basically clear the wave. And if you do anything else, you're going to get too fast.
I respect that.
And a lot of other warriors don't have that limitation on them. They have abilities to poke and clear the wave reliable to them. And so helping Vamana actually have the mana to really poke enemy characters, use his abilities to clear the wave, and then choose when he wants to dump all of his abilities to combo with a reasonable mana cost, helps him actually perform in the soul lane.
Perfect. By the way, just got to ask, how much did Homie Faye pay you for these changes? Because
Also,
we're
if they're
buffing
doing
Thor and
Vamana, that
Vamana.
means Thoth
Those are
didn't
like
get
two
nerfed
gods you love
again.
to
I
play.
can't disclose that amount.
Perfect. Yeah,
Still banning Terra and Thoth every single rain game, ladies and gentlemen.
Last up is a
never gonna see
doozy,
'em.
Chad. If you aren't sitting down, now
Zeus
is probably
stun!
a good time. Gibalanke receiving some changes.
I actually think Gibalanke is
Let's
good
do it
right
then.
now,
Dead of Night, the passive. This ability no longer stacks off kills.
Yes.
You no longer have to secure your last hits. You no longer get to rage type at your teammates that why didn't you let me get that last hit? Now it's going off your own player damage. So you got no one to blame but yourself. If your passive isn't stacked.
That's
Now you do 1
amazing.
stack for every 1,000 damage
like
dealt by
that.
Gibalanke. So it's the same amount of power, same amount of stacks. You just got to deal damage instead of securing last hits.
Yeah, so I think you hit on it really quickly.
Dang, that's nice.
I am a Xbalanque, I go and dive someone, I'm about to get the kill, and then Loki ults across the wall and takes the kill, and you're just like, I'm out of power now.
Right.
And
That's nice.
we talked of different ways of like kind of adjusting this. Assist was on the table at one point, but it was like you have to add stacks and make it this weird math problem, and even then it could stack very quickly in the same way that like right now if you get 2 kills early, it power spikes Xbalanque really hard in the same way that if he doesn't get any kills, he's really weak.
Sure.
So just the variability that it had was just really high, and so making it work off player damage, you can reliably expect Xbalanque players to get damage over the course of the game. Early is a lot slower, so it's harder to get those stacks, and as the game ramps up,
6,000 damage for 30 power.
But it also does put
when
it in the
I'm
hands
mid
of the
lane Xbalanque with red
They
buff.
can choose to be more aggressive. They can choose to go and poke, trying to get the stack up, or they
Easy.
can play more passive and wait till the mid lane
Easy.
to get their stacks going.
And it
Give
seems,
me another
again,
buff
one
while
of those
you're
buffs
at
that
it.
feels a little bit scary at first, but I think you brought up a great point. Is that moment where an X-Ball does get that double kill in lane? It's like, well, I guess I lose now. This no longer will. Well, that one really won't impact it anymore. He'll still have a lead, but it won't be 10 free power for him. It's going. This is about smoothing out the power curve on where we can expect him to get that extra power.
Yes.
And so we can see him a little bit more consistently. There's another buff, by the way, for Xbalanque. Decrease the mana cost of Rising Jaguar from 60 to 100 to 60 to 80, so losing 20 at max rank. Which one are you more excited about?
Whoever ran out of
I'm
mana
more
on
excited
Xbalanque.
Wow, me
Surprise.
too. That's a pretty big deal.
Whoever.
Let's take a look and see. That was a pretty long god change. We got a
Wow, that
little
was.
graphic for you here to see exactly what you got going on. Afro Kepri, Thor Vamana, X-Ball Guan.
That Guan
All of
was
your
the
buffs
biggest
this patch,
change
couple
buff.
gods that we haven't seen a lot of in pro level
Not-
play. that are
none of
getting
the
some
nerfs
love.
were
Kuzubo with a nice
particularly
change.
huge.
Then a couple
Terra,
gods
I'm
you
still
see a lot
banning.
of at the pro level.
I want to
Achilles,
see the new
Nemesis,
god.
Terra
I want to see a Mr.
receiving
Bug.
Some
I'm
nerfs.
calling him Mr.
That
Bug.
does it for the balance section. Thank you, Pon, for
that was
joining
fun.
me.
Shout out to
as
those
always.
Guan changes.
And we gave you a little bit of a preview on some skins earlier. Personally, I want to see some more of that E-United skin, so let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, am I in the way again somehow? Get me out of the way. That doesn't look like an E-United skin at all. Fat Loki. God, what a great skin. What an Uller, you know? What an Uller.
And now with you all reeling from that
Why did
balance
Tina
section,
just
it's
whisper
time
in
to
my ear
settle you
hole?
down for a second or two.
That made me
we'll go through some
uncomfortable.
skins,
That was
cheer you all
weird.
up again if again the balance section didn't go your way. Joining me on the casual set this week is Tina back once again, alongside the lovely Ashley and Ben. How you both doing?
Good.
How you doing, man?
Good to see you, Ben. I've not seen you in person.
This is the
so-
first
so-
time we get to do this, man. It's a real pleasure for me.
Oh, hopefully it goes well.
pleasure.
Like, don't get too excited yet.
Okay.
Just in case, you know. Let's start things off with, I don't know, Federer?
Yeah. Do it. That sounds good.
Federer sounds good. Chompy Chibi
Chibi!
Federer. Why did you?
Yeah.
Who did the card art? Who allowed that
Oh
to
my
happen?
god, what good
fine
card
with it.
art.
That's
Yeah, I'm
Manny.
totally fine with it. Manny!
It's so good.
That's my favorite tear skin too.
Yeah, it's great.
That poor puppet. Yep, if it was my dog, he'd just rip it to shreds.
Yep.
Just stuffing all over the floor.
Is he extremely tiny? Oh
this
my
one we
god,
really
it's
wanted to,
so.
like, kind of leverage.
Is he?
like, you know,
Is
obviously
he
the cute
smaller than
thing
usual?
Works well with like the animalistic ones, and this one just.
Or is it
was
just from this
a
angle? Because he
perfect,
looks like he's the
pick,
size
I
of
think, for Chibi.
Ratatasker.
I love like his hand feels like his front claw just
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
bigger than the rest.
We exaggerated some of the proportions on this one for it to feel a lot better because you can't just give him the big head, right, and the cute
Sure.
eyes, like especially a guy like this.
His
guess-
face is
I
so
guess he-
expressive.
He's
I
like
guess
he's
he
a
looks
puppet
more
eye
normal
planet
like
to this
this.
point, yeah.
But I feel like he's definitely
He's cute
still
little bit.
small. Oh yeah, he's small.
What did that say?
Squirrel.
And who was the character artist on this, Ben? Was it Hector?
He's pretty
Yeah,
tiny.
Hector worked on this. He's done a lot of the studios that before he did a lot of like kind of stylized stuff.
Oh, cool.
So he was like a perfect pick to work on this skin.
Yeah, he did a great job.
This skin looks awesome.
I love the
Blue lights
effects.
and-
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
they're very
effects.
cartoony.
The little fire, little tiny fire effects.
I'm pretty sure I saw the animation at the start that he chases his tail as well.
Yeah, his
That's
that
his
what I saw?
VXG.
VXG.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, see it.
He chases his tail. That's a
His
good.
tongue's
He has
sticking
tongue
out.
sticks out.
Yes.
That's
He's
pretty
so
good.
cute.
All right, Tina, this is getting
then
weird.
obviously he's
Stop
got his
breathing in my
ultimate
ear,
too,
Tina.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Go get him. Get him, Fender. Get him, boy. It's
All right then.
This skin looks awesome. These chibi skins
I'll
are
take
just. Is everyone gonna get a chibi skin by the end? Is that what's happening?
I mean,
Chibi Smite.
See, I'm trying to check the new ones on the set, Tina. That's what it is. I'm like,
okay.
maybe they'll leak something ahead of time.
Yeah, you're trying to set us up, man.
Yeah, that's the game plan.
Yeah.
Real quick.
If you do, then you don't come back on again, and then I get a new replacement.
Real quick, can you see his dance again in chibi form?
Dance, puppet, dance.
Dance, puppet. Oh.
Oh my god.
Terrified.
Well, obviously, it comes with a voice pack too, so let's have a listen in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You're good. Oh, that was exciting. Oh. You're looking at the alpha. Can we play fetch?
The
I love playing fetch. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? No one, cause look at me, I'm cute and cuddly.
Okay.
Yeah, Femi's got some great skins, but this is just another one.
Yep.
That's gonna join it.
It's Chris Sabat actually, who, because he's base Fenrir. So I just
Oh my gosh, he's so talented.
Yeah, he is. He's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Well, that's a Fenrir one. We'll move along then to the E-United.
Yeah, the boy seems a little bit weird, but you know.
Which is going to be available. Now,
Skin
obviously,
looks pretty
you guys
good.
even know, like, E-United won the World Championship, and every year we always release a skin for the winners. And they seem to get better and better.
Yeah, this one we wanted to like really get the outfit to be very modern. Like we touch on the E-United, but like it's just a really dope skin overall. And then we play up kind of some of the abilities that will really go with the United stuff with it.
Ooh. I like the
so
hairstyle.
Like in base form, it's Benji, and then in like giant form, it's Paul Bear Mike. That's kind of what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I love the hairstyle you guys gave him.
Yeah, it looks so edgy.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually done his hair. That's not like a United player, in my opinion. I can say that.
That
Sorry,
banter.
guys.
So he's just going to build up the rage.
There he goes, raging out. It's like he ripped his jacket.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to get, like it to tear out from the inside.
Kept his hood on.
So this was like two artists that worked on this one. This Wayne and Richard.
Because it's a double god.
Yeah, it's a double god. So, but they worked really well in tandem to make sure this came out really awesome.
It's always harder when he's got transformations to make sure they fit as well, I guess.
Oh yeah, because like even the colors and everything, like they're different materials and textures, so they all got to like work together to line them up.
That logo.
United on the Salmon's Leap.
Yep.
It's like good luck, right?
Is that the only time you see the logo? Or is there another ability that does it?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
We'll find out.
Remember.
I think there's one in the
Okay.
as well.
I like the best. I mean, obviously Cogzilla. Cogzilla, I feel like the energy one is better than this too. I don't know.
Thank you. Oh, you're not a liar after all.
It was the suspense we were trying to build
I
up.
know, right? Oh man.
I feel like it's
Sorry,
okay.
do we get to see the sick nasty global emote that comes with this?
Oh wait, what?
The sick nasty.
The sick nasty. Show me it.
That's so American.
All right.
America.
That's the best part of the
I
skin.
kinda feel like
What?
That's literally the best part of the skin.
Well, they're not America. Sorry.
Like, that's way better than the rest of the
I'm
skin.
sure Paul Bear Mike's
Hello?
Canadian anyway.
America!
He is now. I'm just saying that. Okay, now it does come with a voice back too. Oh, what's Pon set up for?
Wait, what is he doing?
You gonna show someone doing?
I love it.
Setting up
Let's go! Holy shit, you're huge! Holy shit, you're huge! Let's get it! Hop in the backpack. Try and 1v4 me. See what happens. Want to hear a joke? Having a teammate who can't aim their Fafnir hammers.
Oh.
And Artemis with Blink? What are they thinking?
Oh my goodness.
Want to hear a joke? Having a teammate who can't aim their Fafnir hammers.
God. This is hardcore, dude.
That voice pack's amazing.
Dang, son.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I just want to. Sorry, go ahead.
Go on.
I just want to shout out to PBM and team for helping me out with writing this.
My goodness.
I was gonna say you must have got the info from
Yes.
somewhere about Panda Cat getting Blink.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
be able to hit a hammer with
Is-
Fafnir.
Is really
Savage,
helpful,
dude.
and I really appreciate it. So
It's a savage
turned
voice
out
pack.
phenomenal.
There it is.
I'm so proud of you two.
Dang.
We can move along from there. We don't need to worry about that anymore.
I believe that word just has 13 Fs at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Next up, then is Northern Ranger Hachiman.
It's Uller. It's
How's the
literally
bow on
just
this balance?
Uller. Don't let them fool
I like
you.
the artwork with the bow, so I'm like, okay, in game's gonna be just as good.
So with this one, we were trying to really play. He's in the Slavic chest, so we wanted to play up a lot of the Slavic elements on this and try to go with like kind of a guy that's up there in that northeastern Europe area with
Hemisphere,
wood.
yeah.
You know, that whole area.
I got you.
So there's a lot of like stuff like on his suit, like a lot of symbols. They kind of like the Slavic kind of look to it, and then there's like they have like an eagle kind of symbol, like a double-headed eagle, I think. So we were trying to play up some of that in his outfit.
I feel like I've learned so much
I mean-
about Slavic culture just working on skins like
Yeah,
this.
Well,
It looks.
he looks dope AF, man.
It's all about the bow with Hachiman.
I don't know.
So like you've got the bow and the representation of the bow.
Like,
that's
it's a cool skin.
But then he still has the sword and the horse.
Does he have little flappies on his skirt?
There's some flappies, man.
He got some
But boy, golly.
Is that what?
Does
Is
he
that
look
the
like it, right?
actual official word?
Those are
Flappies?
Slavic flappies.
I don't know.
Slavic
Ah.
flappies, yeah.
They gave Uller a sword?
That's cool.
Slavic flappies.
Buffed.
I forgot he had a horse. I always forget about the horse.
Hachi horsey, dude.
That's a whole different character as well. Like we had Jack worked on the horse, and Chris Cooner worked on the Hachiman. The horse it looks pretty dope.
Yeah, they did such a great job.
I think the horse is still a work in progress right now. We might not be able to show it today. I'm just getting away from production that it's still got some things with it. We will get to it. Oh, the flag. Sorry, not the horse. The horse is good.
The horse is good.
We just the flag. That was it.
Oh crap, man! My team's in trouble.
No.
No, don't worry. I'm just getting weird from production now. Where
Pawn
like,
showing the
flag
slow-mo.
We had
the horse slow-mo,
the
dude.
flag fixed like about an hour ago, so it's still being worked on.
God time.
It's gonna be dope in game, we promise.
Here we go.
Magical horse.
Motion.
Oh, he's like a buck.
So we gain like some like ram horns and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the skin's cool. It just
It
feels
matches the
weird that
outfit
now
pretty
you can,
nicely.
you know,
He does.
have an
And
Uller
there's two
versus
different
Uller lane
artists that
and
had to do
rank. I
that.
don't know.
One for the
Kinda
horse, one for the.
Yep. Anytime you see two characters, a horse, a character.
I don't
that
class
turns
that
another
those
one.
two characters. I still class it as one.
Oh yeah, it's double the cost for us, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, it does come with a voice pack too. So let's have a listen.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah! You show skill. Exceptional. They hire me for a reason. You don't bring a knife to a bow fight. As a matter of fact, I can speak to animals. I'm exceptionally proficient in squirrel. Squeakity squeak, squeak, squeakity squeakity.
What is that?
What?
I get that reference.
Jeez Louise. All right then.
And
that's like a
is
deep
Hachiman.
fried
Guess
meme
what's
or
next?
something. I don't even
What?
know.
Loki!
There he is.
I got really
All right,
excited.
Explain the joke,
I mean, this is
someone,
cool.
for the people who don't know where Fat Loki came from. Do you guys know?
Yes.
Aren't you like a Loki main or nah?
Why are you calling me out for that?
So
I'm a fat Cabrakan. I mean, Fat Loki, man.
I played Cabrakan this morning and won a game with Hindu Man, and
Do
he
you know what
made
it
fun
is?
of me.
well, it's
If you guys don't know, I know.
I know it.
I know it. I know
Okay,
it.
okay. So our senior producer Blake Harrison is a Loki main.
Are you reading that off paper?
No, I
Wait.
know this off the top of my head.
It's written on the paper.
Nope. No, not at all. Okay. One, he's actually responsible for this inside joke, and I don't really play Cabrakan, but basically, if you combo up some of his stuff, he does as much damage as like a Loki.
You got it.
Yeah, there you go.
Very close to it.
Very
Yeah, it was
close.
definitely involving, as you were saying, Blake Harrison, but it was
I'm
also
down for
Bart
this game.
coined it into eSports too. So whenever Cabrakan came round, he would always call it Fat Loki. So everyone learned who Fat
Man,
Loki
those
was
blade
Cabrakan.
shield things are
now
so
we've
cool,
got a
it's
skin.
The legend of
ridiculous.
Fat Loki.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what it came
actually
from.
so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, so working on this is
That was
pretty
a great
interesting.
idea.
One of our artists, Haley, did this. It's really crazy to get the same kind of like look of the costume of the old Loki, but with the proportions of someone who's like 3 times the size, right? But it worked out pretty well, actually.
It looks awesome too.
Is this skin gonna be in the Slavic event?
yeah, it is.
Okay, cool.
The armor
scared me,
texture is
then
so
somebody- I
good, it
don't
is.
know.
Yeah, it is.
should
The
know
skin just looks good. It just looks high quality.
Ooh, that's different.
Oh,
That's
those walls
cool.
are dope.
Yeah, it's a bunch of.
Yeah, we really
Oh,
wanted
a bunch
to,
of Lokis.
play that up.
It feels like decoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's a
that was the whole
combination
point.
decoy
That was
too,
the whole
right?
point.
That's
Yeah, like the
amazing.
walls are decoys, but still walls.
See, I got it. I got it. I don't always get the out
That's so
references, but now and
good.
again, I'm like,
You
I got
sound
one.
like you might play Loki.
No, I no
Sound
clue.
like
Okay.
my
Speaking of decoys, isn't there another decoy reference in here?
Yes.
I believe.
Isn't it
It's
his
his-
VXG?
Yeah, I heard it's his VXG.
He can move with it.
He's a
Oh my
decoy.
god, he's a big old decoy.
I don't trust it.
I don't trust it
You don't see him
one
in the map,
bit.
And you just go in the jungle and he's just there.
One
And you're like,
bit.
oh, it's fat Loki decoy. Loki's
That's
decoy.
pretty
It's
That's
not
so
the real one.
good.
And then he fat Loki's you.
And then
Yeah.
he fat Loki's you. Yeah.
That's so good. Dang, I just played Cabrakan
God, I love
today.
Kraken.
And it does
Ah,
come
it's
with
so
too.
good.
Death defying. I kill so effortlessly.
That's a good
You're
skin.
good.
This is a quality
You're about to wean
meme skin.
yourself. What do you mean I'm not Loki? I gained a little weight is all.
That's good.
And that is
What
Fat
a guy.
Loki. And
love
the
it.
end of the skin segment.
Yes,
this
it is,
week.
because we got the new
So
god.
four really interesting skins, guys. Thank you so much
New god.
for that
New
this week.
god.
Still more to come. We've got a new god coming up. You all know it already. We'll be going through that momentarily. But first of all, we're going to head over to Gabby, and I believe it's Isaiah standing by to talk a little bit about the community.
Hey everybody, Tigris here with Hi-Res
Gabby.
Isaiah, and you know, we run into each other in
Where's
chat all the time
Stealth?
and everything, but this was the first time we've actually got to do something together.
What did you guys do with
It's
Brett?
a pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, for sure. I'm happy to be here. And before we get into community talk, I want to know what is your favorite of the new skins?
Ooh, I mean, you can't pass up Fat Loki, right?
Right?
It is so good.
I
But
feel
Northern
so-
Ranger Hachiman, just because the aesthetics on his armor and stuff, and that horse is top tier.
Superb
Top tier.
superb
No,
indeed.
Woojer.
Well,
That's
we
a
do
Woojer.
have community talk for you. So first of all, why don't you let everybody know of some of the upcoming events for everyone?
Yeah, most definitely. So this
Stealth
weekend,
isn't stealth.
players can
He
earn
pops his head
one
up.
first one of the, if you get one first one of the day, you can earn yourself a cutesy avatar chest. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as long as you win one game, you can get a cutesy avatar chest. And then another exciting piece of news, we want your help, the community. We know we have some awesome artists out there, so we're looking for your help in determining one of this year's skins for either Halloween or winter themed. So right now we're hosting a community concept art contest. All the details are on smitegame.com. You have until May 9th to send us your submissions.
Have you combed through and found some really cool community artists out
Yeah,
there?
definitely some cool winter themed skins and then some really, really scary stuff. I saw a spider Kepri online, and I don't do spiders. I had to close my monitor like immediately.
You're just done.
Right? Yeah, I was done.
So for anyone that wants to go ahead and enter that competition, if you're trying to choose, is there anything that they can do to win your favor as far as design type, Halloween, winter? What are you feeling?
So I am definitely going for the winter themes because I'm all about like the icy blues, the snow. And if you guys can get a cool winter themed assassin, I don't think we have one of those yet.
You heard it here, everybody. So keep that in mind when you're creating your content. Another thing we wanted to talk about today, which is why I'm here, is to highlight our esports scene because we actually have a major LAN coming up with the end of the SPL. And I know you were keeping up with the SPL
most
as it was
definitely.
going on. So going into it straight off the bat, what was the team that you were rooting for?
Rooting for this
what did you
split,
do
definitely
with
Space
Stealth,
Station.
Gabby?
I am a huge Jeff and Bear fan. You know, the sex tank. You got to root for him, right?
Yeah,
But I was taking a look
SSG.
at the brackets earlier, and there's a possibility for a rematch from this year's Worlds Finals between E United and Rival. And if that happens, it's going to be a set.
And for anybody that doesn't know
we're
who
rooting for
exactly is
SSG,
attending this LAN, we've got
obviously.
Team Rival and Team Dignitas from EU, Space Station Gaming, and E United for NA. And then the LATAM representative will actually be determined on the first day of the LAN between Weissel Serial and Nocturnes. Black Dragons for Brazil,
Nocturnes
Uyghur
OP,
Serval for
Black Dragons
OCE,
always.
and Mashu Boys rounding it out with SEA. And this is one of the
Is
longest
Jake-
LANs
isn't
actually that's
Jake
going to be
on the
coming through
Southeast
with
Asia
Smite.
team?
What are you looking forward
Didn't
to
he
most
say
with the
he was
clashing of all
coming
these
to-
teams?
I think the thing
Atlanta?
I'm looking forward to most is it's always cool to see international teams come in and compete, right? We see EU and NA all the time, but if you don't necessarily have time to keep up with the Smite Global Series, you're going to see, you know, the #1 seed from all of these regions come and compete on LAN, and it's going to be awesome.
It is a good idea that they have all the international teams
our esports
coming
website,
to LAN throughout the year.
esports.smitegame.com. That's
It's
where you can
actually
find
really
information
good.
about prizing,
So they
which
can
is
learn.
a $65,000 prize
That's
pool
right.
for
Even
those
if they get
teams.
their
So
ass
big chunks
kicked,
to
which
be
they're
come out of
going
that.
to,
But we also have
it means
the
that the
SML
next
matches
time
that are
they'll
going to
get
be
the
going
butt a
on.
little
It's
bit
their
less kicked,
finals
and then a
between
little
the
bit
two
less the
teams
next
invited
time.
there.
It's
Anxiety
really
onset
important
for
that they come
NA,
along
and then we have
for these
Insignia
LANs
for
throughout the
EU.
year.
Have you
It
been
really,
keeping up
really
with the
is.
SML as
Yeah,
well?
I've been keeping up with the SML.
It's
I was
important
rooting
for the
Voltage.
international
They didn't
Smite
make
scene.
it, unfortunately, so anxiety onset all the way.
Yeah. Another day, maybe
That's
another
right,
day.
yeah.
It's $10,000 on the line for those teams as well. And these will actually be broadcasted across the board on all of our platforms, including mixer.com/SmiteGame. And this is May 9th through 13th. How are you prepping for your watching of
I'm
this
prepping
amazing
right
event?
now. I'm getting MLC Stealth to get the community cube ready.
week.
We're stocking up on snacks, and we're going to have a great party. It's going to be awesome.
Party in the house, everybody. Well, I'm excited to have been here in the Patch No Show. Of course, we do have the God coming up that I know you're all super
Yes, that's
excited
all I've
for.
been waiting
But
for.
before we send it over to
No!
Hindu, let's have a little teaser of our own.
Am I getting memes? Oh, no, this is fine. My goodness. Jesus. Scared the crap out of me. Holy cow.
Well, guys, you've waited long enough for a new
Hi.
card, and the new one is finally here on this Patch No Show.
He done took us.
Joining me on this set today will be
It's
Clumsy and AJ
Clumsy!
from the design team to break down this card.
Clumsy
and of
helped
course,
with
Ben's
this
gonna come
god.
from the art department.
I love
to break
Clumsy.
this
He
down
buys me
to
tacos when I
Chernabog.
go to Atlanta.
Is that what he said? Chernabog?
Yep, Chernobog.
Chernabog.
I got it right.
Thanks,
You
Clumsy.
did.
Awesome. It
Close
doesn't happen
enough.
very
He also was our
There's a lot of
coach at
ways to
one
Yeah,
spell
point.
that name,
you still
but-
say
Way
Thoth
back in the
wrong,
day.
but it's fine. There's like 8. There's
Shots
like
fired.
there's like 10 different pronunciations for that god, and like 5 of them are technically correct, depending on which
Am one of my 5
culture.
wrong? Am I one of the
I
5
think you're
wrong?
still one of the wrong ones. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, I think you're not supposed to try that one. It's all right though.
Not even a little bit.
Let's talk about Chernabog.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Chernabog, anyway.
That intro is so hype. I love that.
That's a good
He
intro. It
looks-
was.
that bit of art that we've got there.
Very interesting.
He's
And now,
scary.
obviously,
He's dope.
we've discussed a lot of things as well. Like we've released a couple of things about some of the kit already,
ready.
so there's
That's
a
right.
lot of hype around this too. I guess the third thing to really come to you, Ben, is like the design of this god, of like the art style. What was the like direction, or what direction were we looking for here?
Well, we got a lot of our direction actually from like the abilities and from the design team. Mark Ross is the concept artist that worked on it, and he did a nice job at kind of trying to like really play up the demonic and like kind of the evil aspects.
I mean, he
of
does
this
look
guy.
cool.
AJ will
pretty
play into
unique
that
for Smite.
later, and Clumsy will talk about as well, the kind of like the actual attitude of the character. But we wanted to really sell that with the design. And he's got like he's like a hunter, so he's got this really cool, instead of it being like a traditional kind of hunter weapon, we tried to do this crystal thing. I thought it was pretty unique, and it like really as this like the presence that he has, where it's kind of like he's effortlessly kind of like making attacks and stuff. Yeah, man, and the wings, dope. Anybody with wings, cool.
We've had a lot of skins in the past with like demon feel to them, but we never had an actual demonic god.
Right. So and we've had other gods that are kind of like demonic, but more of a scary, creepy way. Like this is like demonic, but it's like in a stoic kind of way, I think.
So
Demonic
you guys,
in a stoic way.
Tell me,
You know, demonic in like
what's
an
going on with
angelic
Chernabog?
kind of
What's he
way.
about? Obviously demonic, but why is he demonic? Where's he come from?
So there's not actually a lot about lore when it comes to Chernobog, but he is very much the epitome of all things dark. He is the famine, the illness that
That's
comes.
my new favorite.
Yeah, exactly. He is, you know, the wintry months that come after you had this beautiful year. He's the inevitable darkness, is what we like to say. On the
You should
side,
like
too.
actually go in there and kind of like just do that as like the here comes Chernobog, the evil before the wintry months, all that stuff. Yeah.
He'll be using that in the casts, I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
Hindu?
it's literally what esports off season is for me. Like the dark,
The breaker of chains, mother of dragon. No, that was
So
somebody else.
a lot of his
That
lore
wasn't
is tied to his brother Belobog, which is why we're embracing this kind of inevitable darkness, because Belobog is the good, and there needs to be balance. There needs to be both. So they exist as necessary parts of kind of the same concept, which there's ever-changing cycles in life. And there's one specific reference to Chernobog in the lore.
Yeah, so there's only one real thing, and there's a Saxon missionary Helmold who observed during feasts and festivities that a bowl was passed around, and they would utter curses in the name of Chernobog, and also they'd say blessings in the name of his brother Belobog into the bowl.
Curse Zeus.
Hey,
just for Aggro's hatred.
Aggro can't defend himself. That's not cool.
Yes. I guess Bellabug confirmed as a god for Smite. Next
and
Slavic
he has a lot of
pantheon,
different depictions and a lot of different types of fantasy and other games and movies and stuff like that. And we saw a very recurring theme, which is just this kind of embodiment of darkness and shadow. And to us, that meant a lot of demon and some inhuman features, but we wanted to bring some aspect of humanity to him to really bring him that relatable level of evil. Like, we try to describe Chernabog in ways that are like evil in a kind of unique twist. Like, even when something is like in real life, when something is, your life is going great and things are going well, there's that voice in the back of your head that's like, oh no, now I'm even more scared because I have more to lose.
Yeah.
Even when life looks great, you can still be afraid at what could happen to you. And that's kind of where we took Chernabog from. So we took this very strong human core and tried to infuse it with some demonic elements. And of course, from just a very design gameplay art perspective, hunters that don't just use bows.
That's what I was saying.
Is always something we go for. So the last couple hunters, I mean, Hachimon, he was an exception because it fit him really well and he looked really cool. It was great. But we did Kernanos before that. And we're trying to do some more unique weapons. We'll probably do a bow eventually because bows are awesome too. But we're really liking this idea of him almost summoning darkness and cold just out of nowhere and then hurling it at you and hurting you.
I'm not gonna lie, it's got me really worried that you're talking about, like, you know, even though you think life's going good, oh my god, this kit is gonna be insane, right?
It's a little bit of that, but this is more of a thematic. This encouraged us when we were first getting started about how he should look and how he should act.
Yep, exactly.
And as far as how he should act, we're going for kind of this like super villain. He's almost effortless. He's doing these crazy attacks to you, but he's not working very hard. He's not like grunting like he's lifting heavy objects. He's just waving his hand and then hundreds of crystal shards shattering through you. So I think this really ties him together as this like really great villain.
Well, let's get into game. In this talk, let's get into game and have a look at this. Because you mentioned things about crystals and I still don't understand. I've seen card art.
We'll see them. We'll see them.
Need to see it.
We only showed a little bit beforehand.
That's what I'm talking about.
Crazy stuff.
That's not in game.
Yes, give Pawn a second.
Yes.
There we
Damn.
go.
That looks creepy cool though.
So good.
Okay.
So he's got some cool things. He stands
bat-like
sometimes, but when he moves, he flies. He hovers.
Very bat-like.
So you'll see him get up when Pawn's done panning around him. You'll see his basic animations. You'll be hovering over the ground, flapping his wings more often.
If you're gonna stand still, you don't need to fly. You can just stand.
Yeah, exactly. This is part of his laid back. We want him to just land, right? He's cool with that.
All right. Oh, he flies.
There he is.
He is
so
in
he's
fact
a glider.
flyer.
He's not a walker. He's not striding across the battlefield.
And the modeling team really put some extra work into these crystals. So you'll see them in his abilities, but also just on his character when Pawn was panning around there.
So the artist that worked on this was Chris Cooner, and he's kind of like, when he was working on a previous model, I think it was Cucullin, like some sort of demonic version of Cucullin, there was like some crystals.
Oh, it's the AMC watch?
So we kind of have this crystal tech where it's like got some caustics and some like transmission.
Oh my god,
effects,
you're
so
right. He does kind of
really,
shoot like
passes
AMC.
into the crystal, and he really wanted to put that into this model, and it just worked so well.
Yeah, Mark on the concept and Chris on the model both absolutely hit this one out of the park. It's beautiful. Beautiful god artwork wise.
So he shoots from both hands.
Too. And at first I was like, hang on, he's left-handed.
No,
he uses both.
He switches back and forth.
Man.
He's got both.
Okay.
Okay, and that's crystals that he's firing. That's what he's projectiles.
And look, you can see the actual wall hit on the projectiles, so when they collide with the wall, they actually shatter.
That's cool.
Pretty sweet.
That's one of those advances we've had with Smite as time's gone on, because Skins had it with like Afro's Cat, I think was the first one.
Yeah.
And now we're actually putting it into God.
Yeah, we build up a little bit of kit of things we can do, man.
Yeah, it's great.
If we do like work on a skin that has an ability, we try to sell it on the next thing if we can. The one thing we wanted to do too with this guy is because we wanted to kind of make him feel a little bit more like uncomfortable to look at, and part of it with that was like his proportions. He's got a little bit exaggeration to his proportions in it. We went enough where it doesn't. We went not enough where it went like super crazy, but enough where it feels like when you look at him, you're like, man, this guy is just really freaking creepy. Like his hands feel pretty big, he's a little lanky to him. I think it works really well for the guy.
It's subtle. It ties into kind of that feeling of like lurking evil that I was mentioned. So he, at a glance, he's like, oh, he's very attractive. Has these humanoid facial features and a torso. But then as you study him a little closer, you see his arms and legs are just longer.
Is the lurking
they turn
evil
into
ready
kind of these
to use his first
scarier
ability?
Claws, and his feet are very inhuman, actually. So
there's a method to the madness when we do these things.
Well, I guess it's time to go into the actual kit.
Ooh, the
I guess next. Oh, would you like to do the voice pack?
I think we're going to do voice pack first because this is a very
pack?
special voice pack.
Yep, that's
Oh,
true.
he does?
Yes, we have Doug Cockle, a well-known voice actor who voiced Chernabog. He's most well-known for his work in the Witcher series of games. He's also been in many TV shows and movies. He's appeared in Band of Brothers. He was in a Captain America movie. Really cool movie about dragons called Reign of Fire that I'm definitely going to go see now.
We're getting some big name people for voices just lately.
Oh, and yeah, big
I
collaborators
like
on lore with
Mr.
Ian
Doug
and then
Cockle as
voices.
much as the rest of us.
Rockskin found out it was one.
But you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Tina is like
So we have our
the
very
voice
own
acting
Witcher
network
character.
Kingpin. She's
like
like
hunts
best.
down.
She's like
She's got
best
a
friends
web.
with some of the biggest
We're gonna
voice
be quiet.
actors.
We're
All
gonna be
right,
quiet,
I'm sorry. I'm
Chat's
sorry.
gonna get upset and so's Pod.
Tina's been doing amazingly.
Let's go.
You might even be as good as me. How fortuitous.
It just sounds like a voice pack.
Of course, I am the greatest. Beware every dark place,
sounds
each
like a voice
sinister
pack.
shadow, for I am everywhere. I had a fight with my brother, and it was like night and day. No, literally.
Nice.
I created night and day.
Geralt, you're drunk. Go home. Go
I
home.
love the little accent on that.
It's just it's
could
so
just
I
say
haven't
it
seen
sounded like I could
great.
hear it.
right. We don't. A lot of times we do go over the top on some skins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with gods, we like to take it easy.
Yeah, I was on the auditions with him with Tina, and when I was listening to it, I was just like, I wonder what it's going to sound like. And then he just started going, and it was just perfectly natural. And it was just like, that is what we want. And he was
Does
like,
it
are you
feel
sure?
overly forced or
Not at all.
It's just a little deeper, so he feels a little bit supernatural, but he's still very clear. He does not crazy like a monster. And the voice lines are
I'm not
great,
convinced
clumsy,
they have
well
the
written. I love there's some
abilities ready.
foreshadowing to the kit even there in the
really?
in the
I'm
taunts and
not
jokes. Yeah,
convinced.
so
Hold up 1 second as well, though. There was a note here saying there's an announcer pack as well.
yes, that we did also make a Chernobog announcer pack.
Really?
I think that's going to be part of the Slavic event.
Oh, awesome.
So you'll get that sometime. I'm not exactly sure when. It might not be available this patch, but we did make
And
that.
it's voiced by Doug Cockle as well, then, right?
Yes,
exactly.
of course. Same
Awesome.
great actor. So you can have him going
gonna
pentakill
give
and
you
stuff
my
like that.
Doug
Chernobog
Cockle.
soon enough.
Come
which is
on,
really cool too.
Hindu. Get it
Into the
together.
kit, then.
Into the kit.
Now,
Let's do it.
This is an unusual one because this year, well, for some reason this year decided to not give me the abilities, so
Yeah.
I'm going to name them.
No, go for it. Do you
I'm
know what they
gonna
do?
be wrong, but I want to try and give it a go.
Oh, you're going to come up with your own names.
Yeah, because I've
this
not
is
got
great.
abilities. So
You're going to
let's
confuse
cast it.
everyone, Hindu Man.
You describe it, right?
Okay.
And tell me what it does.
this on purpose?
and
Are
then
we
I'll tell you
getting baited?
What we're going to call it from now on.
We can upon hover it.
No.
Well, we can spend it afterwards.
He wants to
This'll
name
be
these.
more
Let him
fun.
have it.
I want Pond to be able to show the people viewing at home the text so they can put it all together.
So he's doing it right now, actually. His
Thank
passive
you.
is Heart of Cold. So if you fire 3 basic attacks into any kind of enemy humanoid, you're actually going to be sticking into a crystal mesh. And after you hit 3 successive basic attacks, you're actually going to explode them in an AoE, doing extra damage.
Does that have to hit at the same
Wow,
time?
that's really good for
So
a
actually,
hunter.
every target you hit is going to have a special mesh attached to them, and the stacks last, I think,
That
5
is
seconds.
so good for a hunter.
So you can switch targets.
So you can switch
stack it.
targets.
Bonus damage on your
Yes.
auto attacks.
So you see here the Odin, there's
crystals.
this
And it's
Yeah.
AoE.
crystal spikes start
Ooh!
sticking out of him.
Yeah, we
as
did
you
something a
hit
little
him.
bit different here. So you can actually see the meshes sticking inside the
Damn.
Odin, so that's 2 stacks. And then when he pops that, it's going to be 3. It's also a little bit of different effect on minions.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, they've got a
Dang.
lot of different
They're
mesh.
smaller and all varying different sizes, so
Only
there's a
on
little
guys
bit
with
more
that
clear
fight. That's great
debuff
for
effects
fighting.
kind of mark on the minions
Nope.
that just puts over their head.
It is
So
also
like a
on
simple,
minions.
Quite powerful.
Oh yeah,
passive
absolutely.
here.
Works on
It's gonna
everybody.
synergize really well
That means
with
he has
Rescue Kit, once you
AoE
start getting some
auto
attack
attack
speed
clear
online,
as
you
a
start in the
hunter.
late game, you're gonna be getting those
Think
passive
about that
attacks
for a
really
second.
often.
What did you call this ability?
What did I call it? It's Heart of Cold.
That's
How-
really
I would've
good.
said that.
I thought you were. Yeah, you said
Oh, I
that.
would've said
Okay,
that.
okay.
That's
You guessed it.
Yeah, and what's really cool is now
That's
a
a
hunter that
great
really gets
passive.
rewarded for hitting
It's a great
successful basic
passive.
attacks in a row, which is really cool. This is like kind of what you want to be doing anyway as a hunter. So now
Hey,
we're going to
dream.
reward you for doing that.
Just find one hunter on my team that could do that. I'd be happy.
It can be tricky to stack this on minions in the lane as they'll be moving and shifting around a lot and stuff like that. But when you're just boxing with the other hunter and you pull this off, it feels great.
Yeah.
I would guess with 2 characters and learn 2 support and a
nice.
hunter, like you can
Right, exactly.
do both
Go
and
back
not feel
and
so
Oh
bad
yeah,
about it.
you as a support player and me too, Hindu Man. Watch out, because I've had this thing stacked on me quite a bit,
blows
especially
up.
if you're playing like Kepri or something like that. You're a big old target.
And the AoE, also why it might be small, does help in the minion wave. You know, it augments the wave clear just a little bit.
Okay, let's get on to the first ability. AJ, what does this do?
Stay blessed.
So this ability is a ranged circle attack. Crystallized curses.
Yep, that's
I
right.
was thinking it would be called that.
Root.
This is, of course, you did. Well, this is a reference to his
Crystals.
lore, right? People would
two.
speak and collect their curses, almost like venting their angers, because that was a healthy thing to do, to embrace the good and
He's
the bad.
got CC.
So here we have those curses turned into an ability. So this is a ranged AoE circle that he throws out in front of him. It deals damage on impact, and then it lingers there for a little while,
What does that do?
and then it explodes.
Okay.
So it deals damage on impact, and then it deals damage again on explode and roots.
Yep.
So it doesn't deal any damage during the middle part. It's just kind of warm up.
Oh, it root on the explode?
There's not a blocking volume there. That's just for effect.
You
can
gotta
walk through
stand
the
in that
crystal.
sun the entire time?
So it doesn't block abilities or basic attacks or anything like that. It's
Never
just
mind.
a-
He doesn't
a
actually
delayed
have CC. I take it back.
And if someone's inside that,
take
they
it
get
back.
rooted
At the end
of it.
Yep.
Intro deals damage. The outro does damage again and roots.
I've got to give credit to the animation team for that, because given the clear sign when it's going to detonate is really
The
nice.
effects team, yeah, and modeling actually worked on the crystal, and
That's great.
it's
like
really
good
cool. And the
lane
audio is great
clear,
too. If
but
you
like-
listen closely, you can hear like this kind of.
How are you
demonic
ever gonna
whispering
hit
by the
somebody with
ability.
the second
It's
tier?
got a very
attack?
horror movie feel to it.
So I'm feeling Wave Clear looks pretty solid right now.
Yeah, his wave clear's pretty good.
So this ability has some really cool synergy with his next ability that,
Just kidding.
Clumsy will go into.
Never mind.
Yeah, that's right. His ability 2 is called Vicious Barrage. And what it is, it's a wider and longer piercing basic attack. It has no extra damage by itself. And then following the basic attack, following that piercing shot, you actually get an attack speed steroid.
Oh.
But the fun thing here is that if you fire off your AO1 ability, so that's going to be his AO2, and then you have the attack speed buff afterwards. But you fire the AO1 and then throw the second shot, Vicious Barrage,
Never
it actually
mind.
explodes it
There
early.
you go. OP.
So you'll deal the
detonate it
damage and
for
the
the combo.
roots as well.
It's the old 1-2 combo.
Yeah, it's the 1-2 punch.
Oh, the 1-2
But
punch.
then again, you got to make sure if you can hit the 2 and the 1 at the same time, and both games to connect with the target in front, you get massive damage.
That's
Yeah, I mean, and especially targets with high move speed that are moving around, it can be tough to detonate
blow it
that
up.
root area on them, even if you're not even trying to hit them with the 2. Like just to lead them and use the 2. But the 1 is a really good zoning ability. Either way, you can kind of lock off a whole path that people won't want to cross, and then you get a lot of flexibility with the 2, which is really unique.
And one thing that Pawn's showing off right now, actually,
It's a
because
lot
it
of
is a
attack
basic
speed
it's
that
actually
you get.
stacking that passive. It's applying those crystal meshes.
Oh, it does?
Yeah,
A
exactly.
lot
It also
of
can
attack
crit.
speed.
But as Pawn's showing here,
It can crit?
It can lifesteal. It's a basic
Sorry, I didn't mean to
attack.
shout down the mag, then I was more
Oh,
surprised.
it can crit.
Yeah, it
It's
can
a
crit.
piercing basic
Look at
attack,
that.
but it does no extra damage, so it's like actually a relatively weak
So
like
it is a
line
basic
attack
attack.
ability.
Yes.
But it is a basic attack, except for hitting towers. It has all of the rules
Correct.
the same.
Oh.
It doesn't actually affect towers there, so
No
that
towers.
itself will do nothing.
But yeah, so actually as like a level, as like a rank 1 lane clear, it's actually pretty underwhelming because it's the same as hitting a basic attack on the whole wave.
Okay.
But when you combine that with the stim and its really cool synergies, it becomes a really powerful ability.
Oh, so you can crit and
Yeah, it applies that
root
crystal
and
effect,
blow up the
So
damage.
one last thing with it too is
Big
the stim
burst.
afterwards. So you can see if Pawn can just fire and then fire afterwards. He fires faster, and there's a little bit of a different change to his animation and
you can
audio
see, yeah.
and effects when he's firing the souped up basics.
Oh yeah,
Remember
he
when
has
his attacks
like,
kind of got his hands, his palm outwards,
he's punching
and then
almost.
now he's kind of like chopping them forwards. He's punching them.
And you get a
outwards.
little bit bigger muzzle flash explosion on his hands.
Okay, so you got to play around the 2 when you play against him. I can see
Okay.
that. That makes sense. Make sure
Yeah,
he
I
doesn't-
mean, you know, it's a 1-2 combo, so then he'll be on cooldown for a while. So you can juke him. You can juke him hard and punish him.
Well, but then he's got a third ability, right?
Yeah.
He does.
In case of those emergencies when those
what
first
is?
are on cooldown.
Oh, he's got a getaway.
And this
skill.
ability is really cool. This is the
Oh,
one that
he is gonna
actually,
go into the
data mining
wall.
got a little bit of wind of. They knew it interacted with walls, and people were really interested in that. And then we revealed a lot more detail about this one because we're really excited about this ability, and it's really fun. So Into Darkness
here he
is
goes.
Chernabog's
He does
dash.
go
It's
into
like I
wall.
named this kit myself.
Well, I love that. We know when the
does.
casters like the names, it makes your job easier, right?
Well, it just makes it better to cast it more than anything. So we're going to say these names.
Oh, we shouldn't have called this
Whirlwind
Whirlwind
of
of
Rage
Shadow
and
and
Steel.
Darkness.
Yeah.
I love that one.
All right, so this is a
Oh,
dash.
man.
And at the surface, it looks like a relatively simple dash. It passes through all enemies, dealing damage and slowing. And it's a relatively, not really fast or long range dash. But as you can see, there's an extra targeting indicator when you're within range of a wall.
Oh, we know what's going to happen, don't
He
we?
goes
That's
into the
right.
wall. And you
Dang.
can see he has, if Pawn
So
will
you
dash
could
into the
hit
wall
it
and turn
twice.
around, you can see that he doesn't have that much time. See the target filling up?
God, that's so
If that runs out of time,
freaking good in
you're
a
just gonna
team
get
fight,
popped out of
though,
the
to
wall.
wait
You
for your
don't-
team
you
to
don't
come
like
save you,
fire.
You
man.
just
You'll dash out of the
That's
wall.
so
you dash out
good.
on timeout.
Yeah,
Or do you just
exactly.
fall out?
You dash out of timeout.
Okay, out of timeout, or when you refire,
Yes, correct.
you will dash back out of the wall.
Can you dash into wall to wall?
Man.
You cannot.
That would be a little bit too much.
I mean, yeah, no, that's what I was just making sure, because everyone's going to be like, wait, what, a second? You can just fly through the jungle?
So this ability, you can get a little bit of, obviously, range extension by using it near a wall. You can go further, or you can
Can
hit
you see
twice
the
with
shadow
it.
change form
But
to
the
where it's
biggest
looking?
feature is using the wall to evade things. So you could see when he goes into the wall that his, as you were, if you're an enemy, you will see his health bar and things disappear.
You don't see him in the wall?
He can't be. You can only see the
The shadow.
effects. Yeah, and he also he can't. He's untargetable and invulnerable during the wall, so he can't take any damage or have it hit by anything. So you could be in the middle of a Vulcan ult that's overlapping the wall, and you just dash into the wall. It'll explode right in front of you, and you'll be fine. And you can dash right out. It's very strong when you learn to use it well.
Yeah,
It's a very, very,
It's a very strong ability, but once you go start playing around it and playing against him, you'll start noticing that he's going to be doing the same kind of patterns. You know, usually if he's dashing into a wall, he's going to dash out in an area of safety. So you can, you know, Ymir wall him, you get ready by positioning yourself kind of where he's going to be dashing out.
Yeah,
of.
enemies can really surround him when he's in the shadow if he stays there too long.
And well, I mean, it's kind of like Yars, keep him away from the walls, right? And then it makes him a little bit easier.
Can you dash through the mid camps? That'd be huge.
And this ability is so fun.
Can
you can dash into player-created deployables.
Wait, what?
So an honor can raise a pillar, and you can stick to his pillar. And he's Ymir wall too.
Kraken.
Yep.
Does Odin ring work?
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we tested that yesterday. Oh no, he has AI. Never use Ymir.
Ymir can just have.
You can use Kabrakan. Use a Kabrakan. You can use Kabrakan Fat Loki. Even.
Oh god. Oh no, that's not too hard.
It should work. It should work.
Yes, he can. So that actually happened. Yes, no, because that's a pet.
That's a pet, not pet. So look, he's in the Vulcan walls.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We had a great playtest the other day where I was running away. I got hit by a Vulcan ult. I took the damage, and then I just dashed into the wall to avoid like a whole bunch of people trying to follow up on me.
Well, this is a good thing in a way because you can actually like help out your Chernobog.
Because you can dash through things, so it just depends on how thick the wall is. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to dash through that
That's a pretty S tier play, but it's totally doable.
Like, I think like a support the whole
like
time.
that.
How can I save this?
Terra support could just summon wall. If he's in the middle of the lane, he's not near any walls. You could summon one near him and let him dash into it.
Now you're gonna make me confused because like if Terra puts the walls down.
Yep.
He jumps
oh
in
no,
there
you
and
can't.
she
You
claps
can't
the
go
walls.
through anything.
So when a player deployable expires, he actually just does pop out.
On the other
His just
side.
fall
You're
out.
stuck
He
on
might
that
actually
side.
ride the wall a little bit of the ways before it explodes. It's not very far. I guess half the distance.
It's just good to know these interactions ahead of text.
That would have
if we
been
ever make a
nutty
moving
if you could have
wall,
gone through to the other side.
he'll have some really interesting.
He can't dash through anything.
Yeah, which I don't think there really is in the game.
That makes his nerf, or that makes the dash a little bit less good. You can't dash through anything.
Damage dealer that's just going to the front line on this wall that's being moved.
Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, if we do make something like that, he'll be like riding a Poseidon wave
That
all
would
the
be
way
awesome,
to all the way to the
so
end.
we've got one for wave clear, two for good poke and a steroid.
Yep.
3 is a nice escape and a bit of a trickiness to it.
Okay. It's got some added utility.
Still got ultimate,
His
though.
kit's good.
He still has his ultimate.
He's
and
not.
This one's called
He doesn't
Living
seem to be
Nightmare.
godlike, but he's good.
Yeah,
oh,
so
it's a
with this
buff?
ultimate, he's going to channel on the ground for
Damage
1.4
mitigation?
seconds, and during that time, he's actually going to spawn shadow bots of himself on every enemy, revealing them.
Wait, what? You can't see him?
If you
They
can't see
will-
them, they're going to be everywhere.
the
All the shadows
bots
are going to be
just
right there.
So it's a map reveal?
Yes.
It's a map reveal.
The shadow clones will spawn at every enemy, regardless of where they are.
Even in the enemy base. Well, so these shadow bots actually don't deal any damage, but every time, and they also, you can't interact with them in any way. They don't body block or anything like that. You can't hit them with abilities. They expire after a set duration as well. What they do though, is that every attack will be stacking attacks, movement slots.
So they don't deal damage, but as they attack you, you're
taking a little bit of a slow.
This is just the first part. As you can see, Pom
Right
just
there.
used the second part.
Which is you can select
Did I
any
just
one
see
of the
that right?
shadows. Yeah, you just saw that right. You can select any one of your shadows with that targeter and go to them across the map. So you'll see the beam, which means that you've selected the right place.
What?
And he will head all the way over there. And we're not done yet though, Hindu.
This is a hunter!
You
This
can
is a
use
hunter.
this technically across the entire map.
Fountain?
From
You
fountain
could
to
use it from fountain to fountain. As you see, you might end up with some tougher skill shots on ranges of that distance.
Are you fearing the darkness? Yeah.
Do you feel the lurk?
Offensive Athena, man. Are you kidding me?
By a little bit.
Can they get away from this slow?
Offensive
Yes.
Athena?
You can outpace
You
the
can
bots.
outrun the bots. You can dash and leap away from them pretty easily.
Jump over walls.
It's a relatively weak
And then he can fly to any enemy on the map.
And he can fly to any one of the bots.
Yeah, but they only near enemies. So you can't really use this as an escape very well. He can't go back to his
Yeah,
own base.
you can't target
He can't
the
go to his
ground.
allies.
Okay.
If the enemy team's all grouped up, his only choice is to fall back down or to dive into a 5v1.
Correct. So then the other
That's
thing,
a
once
great
he
skill,
reaches,
though,
you're gonna
just
see
to
he
use
has,
and
like,
hide in the
empowered
air,
form.
honestly.
What he's actually getting is a 6-second buff where he's got damage mitigations. He's also refreshing his cooldowns when he reaches there, and he's also got a 30% movement speed.
Full cooldown refresh?
Full cooldown refresh.
So I've got this right. In laning phase.
In laning phase.
I land my 1-2 combo.
Correct.
I then get engaged and I dash in the wall, dash out. Then I ult into the sky.
Yep.
And then land on them, and I've got all my cooldowns again.
Correct.
It's harder to use than you think.
I'm just talking at a base level of understanding that, that's all.
In a lot of cases, you'll see that you'd rather just be able to drop Huyi Suns or like on her deal line damage. Because this has really unique applications. Like when you're defending a Phoenix and the whole 5 enemies are right in front of you, like going up and right back down into them is not the most useful thing. But when this really shines is there's 2 things really. One is the information, right?
Yeah.
You can use it to reveal.
Dude,
you can
is he a jungler?
Objectives,
is this a
and then go to try to
legitimate
counter
jungle
them.
hunter?
You can use it to stop split pushing really well. It's really funny. You can
Seriously,
counter
like as a mid laner, he's kind of the dream
has to
for
go
a
to
mid
an
lane
enemy.
hunter.
So they'll be
Because
there to
I'm
defend
just
you.
going to all lanes and ganking people, right? With my ulti.
Right,
Gank
and then
over
it
here,
doesn't
gank
do
over there,
anything
gank
to
over
the
here,
enemy
gank
upon
over
landing.
there.
You know, there's no damage or CC or anything like
Seriously.
an ultimate. He
His
just buffs
ganking
himself.
is so
even
good.
after he gets there, the Chernabog player has to follow up and land a bunch of skills and basic attacks to do anything.
Yeah, there is no damage by itself associated with the ultimate. It's all coming from yourself.
There's no free damage.
He has clear with the 1. You don't even need to use the 2 because the jungle camp isn't moving around, right?
And movement speed.
And also, every one of your shots while you've got that buff.
He has the little AoE
So
clear that would hit the whole jungle camp, right?
God.
It won't hit a whole wave, but it'll hit a whole jungle camp.
Yeah.
It's a
He
very
has mercy on our souls.
it's a very unique ultimate. It does a lot of things that you normally can't do in Smite. You really, if you're playing against Chernabog, it's like that new WoW feeling, but worse. If you're low health and like trying to hide somewhere, you better recall.
Yeah.
So
or
yeah,
you're
that's-
gonna pay for it.
So that's actually the funny thing, because the shadows don't do any damage themselves, and if Chernabog doesn't go right
I
towards you, you can just
think-
recall while the shadows are attacking you.
Your boy
You've
might play
got a
this
lot of
god
ways to evade it, and you
as
can
a
bait
mid
him into
laner
getting,
and a
like,
jungler.
diving and then getting ganked by enemies and stuff like that.
There's gonna be some greedy players that are gonna be flying
There's
around.
gonna be a lot
Jump on over,
It has a
you
lot of
root
very
them.
interesting tactical choices to it.
It also matters too. Do they know that you're coming to them? That's going to be important.
To avoid any sort of like
do they have
instant,
any indication
unmissable
that you're
damage.
coming
So
to
all of
them
this is very
specifically, or
much
do you have to
dictated by
just
player
know?
choice and strategy.
Like,
I like
hey,
this
he
target
ulted
as
you.
well, John the Ultimate.
That'll be
it
important
seems
for
to be
your
quite
ganks.
easy to connect with.
So the target is a little bit different. It's actually got 2 sections towards it. The first part is actually just kind of like a cursor, while the outer larger circle is your actual selection radius.
Right.
So this is a lock-on targeter, so it'll choose the god closest to center.
That little red beam.
So
coming
the
down.
big area is all viable options. So there's like if there's only one enemy in the area really far away, it makes it a little easier to hit. But then the center circle will help you kind of choose from a group of people which one you want to target.
That's cool. That's really nice.
I'm thinking.
It's a super unique ability with a whole ton
I'm
of
thinking
like
maybe
strange
jungler.
applications and player choice involved.
Now you mentioned a little bit about playstyle of this. Clumsy, what kind of playstyles are we looking for with this? Who's he good with? Who's he good against?
So early game, he's got some pretty high mana costs, and while he has, you know, kind of almost 2 wave clear abilities, they actually don't do that much damage early. Their base damage is pretty low. Their scaling is, you know, gets there later on. He pairs really well with anyone, you know, another guardian that can help deal damage in lane, as well as lock people down. Because if you notice, the only CC he really has is, you know, some slows and a root. It's a 1-second root at all ranks. It's not very much. So if you have someone like a Mir, a Geb, a Sylvanas, they can help lock enemies down for you to deal damage to.
Who does he struggle against?
Well, he struggles against fast characters. So characters like with a lot of movement speed
Susano.
stims. Yeah, Susano, Soul, because they just have high base movement, or like Hell even, because they're the heal and they're having this like movement speed. Kukulkan,
Okay.
his 1-2 combo actually takes a good
nobody
bit of time to
struggles
deploy,
against
and you
Kukulkan.
like those characters. Even if you lead them perfectly, they can like see
Let's
they're
be
in the
real
area
with
and you
ourselves.
turn out in time.
This guy is
So that's why,
jungling with a Nox
the
mid.
Guardians
Think
that
about
Clumsy
it. Yeah,
Nations plays
exactly.
well with. He really appreciates
exactly.
the setup, because then he can hit his 1-2 combo and a follow-up basic like really consistently. And if he has fast movement speed characters against him, it's so hard to hit the 1-2 combo on like a full movement speed boot, like a boots and another movement speed item like a katana. It's so hard to hit an assassin moving that fast, because they can just juke out of it. But you appreciate the setup, and you got to watch out for those fast characters.
So he's gonna be careful of CC and obviously fast guards.
Yeah. Also,
Mercury's
his
on his
ultimate, when he goes up into the air, it's a 1.4 second channel time, which is a little bit longer than some of our other ones. So if you can really nuke him down during that period of time.
Yeah, but how long can he stay in the
So
air?
it just says he's trying to take off.
1001,
exactly.
1002,
Oh, we've definitely done that in playtime.
He has like 5 seconds.
It's kind of like the Apollo
That means if you
fallacy,
can do
where
it, like, if
Apollo's
you're
is
getting
even
ganked
longer.
and
But
you can get that off, you can sit in the air for
afraid, so you try to
forever.
alt out, and you're like, oh, that wasn't even
After
close. I did not have enough time to get out.
You can live a long time.
That can happen
You
here
can live a
too.
long
That's a heads up for
time
the
by
guys who
sitting
need
in
to
the
start
air.
playing,
Plus, your
man.
cooldown
To make
resets.
sure
You can use your
you-
dash
early,
into the
if
wall
you-
again.
Yeah, it's definitely a
long as you
better
don't get
engage
killed on
ult.
the
It's
way up.
designed to be that, and it's very bad as an escape, really.
Okay, well that's a playstyle.
It's not
He does
using
have
it
a
as an
recoil
escape.
well,
It's about
I
using it
think.
as a
That's
like
right.
wait for my team to come
Diabol.
get to me. Like
Diabol.
Ramo.
Diabol.
Very
It's
similar
a
to
fancy
Ramo.
word for devil or demon.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It could be good at that.
Yeah, and this god is so special. We even got ahead of ourselves, right?
Yeah. We wanted to go like a lot of times when you do recolors, you try to find a nice like bit of colors that harmonize well, that like is so different from the original. With this, we got a really unique opportunity to kind of do an inversion almost. Like we were like, oh man, if we just like took the dark parts and made them light, and then the light parts made them dark, how would that look? And it felt really cool.
It looks really cool.
It still completely synergizes with his kind of dark demon.
Yeah, it still looks super creepy. Like, you don't want to see this guy coming around.
It is. It's a great recolor.
I've also got down here as well the mastery
That's
skin.
a great
Yes, I think this is the
He's gonna have his mastery skin too.
In the same patch, he's got mastery
Whoa.
skins.
How about that?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Props to the
We're
art
working
team on this.
overtime over here.
Ben's team really getting that's what I was saying. We're getting ahead. So here he is creeping out of a shadow wall, which I love the reference to the kit here. He's actually like falling off the wall, which you can actually literally do.
I will say there's going to be a lot of fans who are going to be upset because they have like mini games where the new god comes out, they try and get it to diamond before the skin.
Right.
The mastery skins are out.
They can
and
still
now they can't.
They can still now, but they can actually show off that they're the first diamond
Hell
Chernabog.
yeah.
They'll actually be able to show you that before the patch.
That's
Normally
true.
you'd have to wait, and no one would be able to see that you're diamond except for the loading screen. Now you can really show that off.
Show it off.
So I love how the
How's
art
his
team
legendary
did
look?
his-
I like the legendary
Ooh.
I mean, legendary is my favorite.
It just
for
looks
most skins,
so
but
sweet. The black
Legendaries
and
are always so cool,
they really
man.
dominate each other.
I love
His,
the wings. The wings
Diamonds
just like
are so
changing-
hit and
changing
miss.
color is great.
his anatomy with the
that.
crystals and the demon skin work really well for these
We
mastery
were able to
skins.
kind of get some of the gold in the wings
Inside
too.
the wing membrane,
Yeah, it's a little little translucent, and the gold shining through is really nice.
And then the diamond.
Nah, I don't like diamond skin.
I thought it was just, and then the diamond. But
No,
it's
I mean,
not-
I kind of meant this is set up like it's got. You don't have to say much. Just look at that.
And one thing Ben and I were still looking at is we know the diamonds looking a little greener sometimes in some of these characters. Has to do with some complex ways that materials interact, which is like a fancier word for texture to spare everybody the details. Ben does like his technical words.
Hey,
though.
I'm sorry.
What'd you throw out? Transmission and
Caustic. Caustic.
My favorite
lighting or something earlier.
My new favorite one is Fresnel.
Fresnel,
yeah.
So we're looking into that one. That should end up a little bit more blue by the time the patch actually launches.
I'm really excited about this new guy coming to the game. It's going to be
I
very
don't-
exciting to see him. get
everybody
played
knows
at
that the
Chernabog.
diamond
It's gonna be
isn't so
very
cool.
exciting.
Super exciting.
Everybody knows
I'll finish thinking of the
legendaries
patch,
are
guys.
way
Let's go
better.
through that real
On-
clumsy.
Mostly everybody. There are exceptions.
Right?
Chernabog.
But mostly everything.
I mean, I'll switch it up and I'll say Divine Uprising because
yeah.
it's about 3 new gods.
That's true.
So what's better than 1 new god?
Three
new
And
gods.
what's better than 1 new pantheon? 3 new pantheons.
Ben,
So
what about you?
it's huge.
Chernobog, man. That thing, like it was a labor of love by all departments, and we all like nailed it. So I think as a team, that right there takes the cake for me.
Thanks a lot, guys. For me, it's Fat Loki. Just
Oh
so you all
yes,
know, Fat
I
Loki.
mean the internet agrees with
Chibi
you.
family.
I was checking while I was off camera, and
If he's gonna play Loki without feeling bad about playing Loki.
Reddit comments about this patch were 99% Fat Loki, and then 2 other people like, oh, new god, I guess that's cool.
Well, thanks a lot again for this week. And you guys at home, first of all, PTS should be around available
Probably
on
Friday? Yep,
There's already been
pretty
information
standard.
about the patches coming forward. You can find all that information on Smite Game and on Reddit as well. All the usual social media places. But before we close, just want to make you all aware as well, Harris has released a new game on mobile, Paladin Strike.
Paladin
You should
Strike
give it
is
a go.
actually a
Free to play,
decent game.
and it's a
It's
lot of
actually
fun there.
fun.
It's got a
And it's
mobile
made by
elements in
Lionheart,
the
who's
Paladin's
cool.
universe.
He's a cool guy. It's
So a
actually
mixture
good.
of
I
both
like
Smite and
the
Paladin
mobile
into
game
one.
more than I
And
like
it's free. Yes, I'm selling
the
it because it's good and it's still free.
whatever you call it.
Over 1 million players have already played it as well, so make sure you go and check it out and upvote it and say it's good.
Battle
'Cause then
Royale.
Maybe we'll make more mobile games. and
Paladin
maybe get a
Strike's
Smite
pretty
one.
cool, actually. As
I
far
don't
as
really know that.
mobile
I
games
just
go.
hope so.
I also played it
But in the
forever
meantime,
ago
to
too,
everyone here at
and it was
Home
cool
Studios,
way
as
back
always,
then, and it's just
We'll
cooler
see you
now.
again
so.
on the next Patch Note Show.
For a second, oh, here it is. This is the mobile game. This is Paladin Strike.
Coming through! Come on, let's fight!
I think it just officially released. It's out of all of its stuff, so you can actually like download it now. As far as mobile games go, it's actually pretty top tier. It's pretty top tier. All right, that is the end of our patch notes today, guys. On the whole, Guan Yu buff is massive. The Terra buff was not massive enough to stop her from being banned every game, in my opinion. Those were the 2 biggest god changes, pretty much. Item changes, the Oni garbs, who cares? Honestly, there really weren't that many item changes. There's like little tiny things like the Soul Reaver change and stuff. So that wasn't that big of a deal. The skins and stuff were cool. Did pretty decent job on that. The new god, it'll be interesting because he's lacking straight up damage by not having damage on his ulti, but can he make up for it by getting snowballing ahead because of the nature of his ult? And because of the nature of his ult, does that mean he doesn't end up being a hunter in a traditional like ADC role? Does that mean he ends up playing mid or jungle so he can go out to the outer lanes and gank? Maybe. It also means because of his ulti being able to see everybody, he'll be super good for picking off people once they're low in a fight, right? Like, hey, this person got really low HP and they jumped over the wall and they're getting away. Well, you just ulti and then you just go gank them and kill them. So it'll be interesting to see how people use his ulti. I think it'll be less initiation, more like ganking and getting that final pick-off kill after the fights go down. So we'll see what role he ends up getting played in. I think getting him early 5 level will be important, which obviously the ADC role doesn't do right now, which means once again you're leaning towards mid-jungle because you want to quickly use your ulti to go gank somebody as fast as you can. Even getting level 5, backing to base, buying your item, and then ulting out to kill somebody with your new items that you just got. Particularly, I think the duo lane is going to get killed by this god, which, you know, they don't have enough problems already. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your support. I could not do this without you guys. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning, guys, with some more Smite. I've got to go have dinner with my wife's family today, so I will see you guys tomorrow. And as always, have a twitching day, y'all.